Very good. Well, I'm glad you made it safe.
Well, I never in my whole life have changed a flat tire. I wouldn't know how to do it. Um, stairs, a lot of work. I finally did sell it, so I moved here in 2002, even though I bought my house in Rock Burn.
You did?
I bought it in 2000. Oh, 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, the door should be
Where's
open
it
for the
at?
bathroom.
It's on 12th Street. It's between Baca and Freeman. It was a really horrible old house. Just terrible.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Restored it.
That's
And
nice.
I love
Oh,
it.
with Chuck's,
It's still an old house. It's drafty.
because 3 of them are basically the same, but they're split into seasons. With the big packets, I only printed out one to explain with all 3,
Okay,
just because there's so many paperwork.
I'm getting down to it.
Yeah, that's why I left his towards the end, because I knew his was gonna be like a ton of papers.
Yes. In some ways it is, but you don't have the conveniences that you do. The floor plan and everything is old,
Yeah.
but that's what I love. And when I bought it, I could run up and down the stairs and street.
You're close. Are you excited for next week?
Really so many.
I'm nervous, scared.
And when did you?
It's changed.
It
is, but you.
I hope I can stay at least.
So that's not, it's just.
As long as I can get this
I'm good.
repairs,
Yeah.
I can stay there.
Change
And I have a 2-story too.
freaks me out. So I'm like, I know I can do it, but it's
My ex-wife at the time.
it's getting used to, and then I suck at knees.
She would
So I'm like, that's kind of
Yeah,
gonna be my,
well, she just.
don't, I hope they don't take me as being rude, cause I'm like, I really honestly suck at knees. I usually put like,
So not only you're going up,
like
you're
if they
also
do
turning.
certain things or
Yeah,
like
that was
characteristics,
super
that's
deep.
how I remember, but I
I'm
don't
fine.
remember the names.
I'm fine. So
I'm like, crap, I'm gonna have to keep studying and be like, okay, I know who I'm talking to now.
It didn't occur to me to think that at some point I wouldn't be able to afford to buy a house. And I love it.
That's what I'm like.
Do you have the bedroom upstairs?
They're like,
I have 4 bedrooms upstairs.
oh my god.
Oh, that's what.
Only
They're not
half
like the
bath
PD
downstairs.
people will be good.
This is a big house. The last resort would be one of those chairs that go on the wall.
Yeah.
That's why I'm putting it. And I know exactly what you're talking about and what you mean.
But we'll see.
That's hilarious though.
Interesting project.
Always
You
am
got
like,
yourself into.
I got the house all done now. I don't know what's done.
I just finished doing my kitchen. And we had bought it.
Tell you that for sure.
We were living out. And I said, I gotta go home. This is home. She's from downtown. So she stayed with me.
Rennie,
There it is.
Yeah,
you were in Albuquerque.
I was coming 3 times a week.
Oh,
Now I only go once because I have one more station. I have a little AM and an AM and an FM down there. So I'm kind of more. Yes. Yeah, it's not, for me, it's not. You know, at some point you gotta say.
That's kind of going to be
"I don't
my-
feel that much. I can't have any more.
I guess that's probably gonna be the biggest challenge is the way that their timesheets work, cause I mean, I do our timesheets, but I'm like, I do a full 80. Like, there's just no, I mean, unless we have overtime, people know that. But there's how theirs is different in the pay period, and
That's
I'm like, that's probably
And
gonna
actually,
be
we're
my
working
biggest
on a
challenge.
translator since the fire has been down. And then I have a Spanish station.
Just bring your attorney on contract because
Oh, yeah, that's.
you just need to look at that.
Found something to do out there than camping.
that's what I felt when I bought the BMD. I finally figured out what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gave me some pointers about like the
But then I couldn't wait to
go
hear
over.
Yeah. Yeah.
The union contract because of that changes.
Who is that strange
And
man
there
that
was
just
one more
walked
thing
in?
she wanted
How's it going,
Good, how
man?
are you, sir?
Good, good. How are you?
We thought for a while that we were gonna have to wing it. and
Right.
We didn't know how we could do that. We'll let you set up.
Yeah, so.
So are all these people here, inventors?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that a lot. I think the first thing I usually do is the research, so I check, I don't just like, I jump in, but I don't jump in, I usually go through and be like, okay, what did they do, what are they doing before I try to fix it. Oh, okay.
All right. Looks like everybody's in. Okay, I call this meeting to order. Roll call,
Rutik Bakta,
present.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Present.
Matt Martinez,
Present?
Helen Strader.
Present.
All right, moving to the first item of the agenda. Rolio, it's approval of minutes.
So move, Mr. Chair.
I have a second.
I second.
Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I was gonna comment on approval agenda, but it looks pretty clean. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Unless there's any discussion on that.
We already voted on that, Mr. Chair.
I think we went past, I went to minutes,
Oh, okay.
so we need to go approve the agenda. That's my mistake.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay,
Second.
second. All right, so if was there any confusion as far as approval of either one? I went straight to minutes, I apologize, but the approval for minutes stands, everybody was clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any public input? Okay, moving on to discussion items. First up on the agenda is discussion on the procurement process for the city of Las Vegas and funding cap on the largest tax marketing requests.
Okay, so, cause I know there's a lot of, same bit like entities, but there are new people like running them. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that with our procurement process, when they submit, if they get approved, every time they submit an invoice, they always have to submit backup. So quotes, they have to send back up to prove to us that they're having it. So whether they did a 3-quote process, if it's an exemption that it falls under with the city, we just need to get all that back up too before we can pay them for the invoices. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that when they submit paperwork to get paid, you have to have the backup in it for us so we can pay you guys out. So we know where the money went spent.
Any specifics on, sorry, did you finish?
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
And usually I don't, we've done it a little bit in the past, but I mean, this is a good opportunity to discuss it some more. So within the invoice, it needs to be pretty clear what it's buying for the dates.
Yes.
And we're asking it to match up to, at least remotely match up to, I mean, some of the things may change in the process from here and there, but it should be about the same entities that we approve during this process, right?
Yes, so usually what happens is after the board approves the recommendations, it goes to council. Council has the ultimate say on their approvals. Once council approves it, there's usually a contract between the city of Las Vegas and whatever entity it is. That's going to be the binding contract of what they submit, and in that scope of work would be what, that's what will have the details of whatever they're submitting for. So when they submit their invoices, make sure that they have their quotes attached to whatever they're submitting in their invoice. Just have the invoice have a breakdown, okay, if it's going to a radio station, which radio station, if it's going to print, what print. So we could see the amounts, and then of course having the quotes attached to that, or the invoices from like the radio stations or however they get it, have that attached to their invoices. We have to have all that backup before we can pay those invoices.
Okay. But we're making sure that there wasn't a drastic change of, okay, we approved a process and they said, radio station for this amount. We understand quotes may change or whatever, and that was just one example. But when they finally get to contract, that radio station isn't completely there, right? That's always been my question in the past, is how much is this allowed to change between approval and to the contract phase?
As far as I know, whatever amounts you guys approve, that's what they should be staying within.
Okay,
They can't, so if you guys approve, say you guys approved, you mean 5,000, and all that 5,000, it was the exact amount to a radio station. The radio station can't sit back and be like, oh, now you're gonna pay 6,000, because our prices changed. We could only pay what was approved through the contract.
okay. Is anywhere on this process, where the entity pays first and then they're reimbursed by us?
Yes, so lodger's tax is a reimbursement process. It's a reimbursement program, basically. So the whatever entity they get their invoices, they pay, they have to submit it. We don't pay first. They have to, they submit us our invoices for what they get.
Got it.
We don't pay them upfront for it. They
So
have to
basically
get
you
the money
see
from them.
initial phase, you see estimates, then contracts, and then you see invoices as in
Yes.
actually services entered, and then you're paying.
And then, yes, they submit whoever they get their, whatever quotes they get, that entity will give the invoice to the organization. The organization will submit that invoice along with their invoice. And then we'll attach, their invoices with our purchase orders that we have in place through their contract.
Okay,
And that's all the backup that will be.
okay. Well, I wanna have on the next part, I wanna have a discussion on caps, but as far as procurement, is there any discussion that the board would like as far as the process for procurement?
Chase funded.
All right, caps, what would we like to discuss?
Okay, so, since there is, new people running these entities, we just wanted to make sure that, what was it, 2 years ago, I believe, the board, you guys
More, yeah.
approved your $2,500, $5,000 caps. That's within to stay in to make it fair throughout the whole board. I know about a little bit after that, or about a year after that, you guys made the motion to, you guys will approve more than the 5,000 if you guys see fit to approve more, like if you could say, okay, this event will bring in the people that we need, it'll bring in the tourism. They're more than the 5,000, but here we have the proof that this is going to work for this event to bring in the people.
So what had happened during the time when it passed through council, and so we wanted to give the council power if they deemed an event that's extraordinary, that needs more. From the get-go, there were exceptions to those caps for the bigger funding. So Fiestas was obviously one of those exceptions out of the five. So some of the bigger events that were already had considerable amount of visitors from the get-go were exempted from that. But after that, if there was something that came in that that the board wanted to recommend,
Yes.
and we could say to council, look, council, if you would like to agree to spend more, we can leave that decision to council.
Yeah.
Okay, for that to be clear. And we've done that a couple of times for projects, especially for projects that we thought could turn into a big event. And that was the idea. For long-standing events, what we were hoping for was a continuous build towards something bigger and bigger, and we'd like to make that by bigger and bigger, but we just didn't want to grow it right away without having any backup of how it's going.
Yeah.
We certainly would like to incubate and get something going, but we'd like to see the results afterwards. What's made the last 3 years tough, and then I'll leave it up for discussion, is COVID. So most of the applications I did see is that, hey, we haven't had an event, or we haven't had something to do for the last 3 years, so it's hard to say what it could have been or what it could be. So we're kind of doing a little bit of of reset here going forward, but just a refresher on why on the caps, but some of the caps, again, just to recollect, some of you guys have been in here before. They were put in place for a reason because we were trying to be accountable for these events. The budgets were continuously expanding, but we weren't seeing the improvements or the return that we were looking for in lodger's tax, or there was no rhyme or logic to it. Again, we'd like to be able to see these events come to us and say, look, we did this is the numbers. If we did this much more, this is the numbers, and we keep growing that event, and we gladly recommend to council every time, look, this event deserves more consideration for funding. Any other discussion on caps?
No, not on caps, that's something else.
Oh,
Two questions. The first one is, I think from the last couple of meetings that I've attended, the discussion has been, after the events have taken place, we don't hear anything back until we see them possibly in the next round. Should we maybe schedule a special meeting just to hear how those events went?
Absolutely.
Or something like that?
Yeah, it's come up in the past, and we typically want to do it in our quarterly meeting right after that event. So if a lot of these are in August or to July, okay, and if we miss them, we want to at least talk to them in our October meeting to see how that event went. So for I know Montana, you're heading out, but messages for you, are you going to be a replacement?
That's correct.
Okay, just leave notes on that. So for what we approve, we want that the groups, any events that happen, we want them to be at least on the next quarterly meeting. I know we've brought it up before, but
Yeah.
that way we hear back from that event, we get feedback from that event well before it's time to start marketing for that event again. Oh, Georgine, sorry.
I think we should make that a mandate that if they do not give us a report before the next quarter, so that money is spent and that we've given it to them, if they do not give us a report, don't come back. Because we have to be able to justify giving this money, and it is being used properly for these events. Because we've been so long now, the same thing over and over and over again. We don't get reports. We assume they're good. But I would like to see a mandate somewhere in here that, yes, they have to give us a report.
Okay. So what we can do as a board is put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
For next week?
And it could be a business item for approval, disapproval, saying, hey, in order to approve lodger's tax funding,
There has to be, a report has to be submitted.
we'll have some discussion on it, and we could set up, if you guys want to think about it for the next meeting, but I want it on the agenda as far as the timeliness of said report, of whether it needs to be, to me, as long as they've submitted something, I'd like them to come present.
Yeah.
But in lieu of a tragic event, a fire or COVID or whatever, there should be a system where they can just submit a report with how the event went, and that could be in place of that presentation if something were to happen.
I'll look into it, cause I don't know if necessarily you guys could completely ban somebody from applying if they don't give a report. But you guys can make your rules, and you guys it'll have to go to council to make sure council approves it also if it.
Yeah,
were to
we can
become
make that
a bylaw
clear.
for you
I
guys.
guess we'll maybe, if that's not, we won't maybe use the verbiage of banning.
Yeah.
We'll just use the verbiage of we're asking.
Where it's like a mandate kind of to
Right,
bring back
for
the
that
quarterly
report.
report after an event. And we
The
can look
word
into that,
mandate
and
on
then
there.
if you guys put it on the next agenda, we can see however
Yeah.
you guys vote, and then submit
Go
things
from
to
there.
council, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, we're technically asking about how the event went before you did the application, but as we've discussed a lot, that tends to be too late by the time on the next go around for it, or we'd like to be able to provide feedback before they provide the
back
next
from where
application. Yeah.
I have a second question, another question. Mr. Chair, we had an opportunity to meet with the city council, a couple of weeks back.
Yes.
I think it's a couple of weeks, feels like a couple of weeks, maybe it's longer. And we were able to get some feedback from the mayor and councilors, about their expectations and, you know, what we can and can't do, or what we should or shouldn't be doing moving forward. We talked about the caps as well. I think that's one of the things that the mayor had in mind, so I guess it really depends how we move these expenditures out. But I guess I have a question indirectly to you, and then maybe we might ask the city manager to sort of help a little bit. So I know that we talked about our budget, Montana, the last meeting, and I guess we had X number of dollars. I can't remember the exact amount, but we've got a number of requests here, and I hope we don't exceed those. I don't think we do.
No.
But I guess my question is, the council talked a little bit about overtime for some of these events. So maybe we might ask for the manager to help us in regards to, will those dollars also be coming out of lodger's tax, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. The only, I'm sorry, the only numbers that we can tie to lodger's tax is overtime tied to any tourism type event. So fiestas and music in the park, any of those events we can tie, public safety, solid waste, those types of departments.
So,
We've already accounted for that in the budget.
okay, so somebody's running these numbers to keep track of that, what we're doing there? Okay.
I think I believe what we did is we wanted to, so that should, I mean, we wanted to carve out an amount that could represent any of the events going forward, right? It probably doesn't, I mean, for the what we were seeing, even with the numbers that we have, I'm not sure if it covered all of it, but at least there's contribution coming from lodger's tax for some, and I think the greatest amount is probably for Fiesta, right, for the overtime. But I think they've worked out on carving out a considerable amount of, there's the majority on marketing, obviously, and then there's the pocket, and then the pocket for infrastructure, and then the rest, which is basically, for the most part, I see going to fire and overtime.
Well, and I guess that, and I'm not trying to, you know, put anybody in the spot, but it's real difficult for me in my mind to figure, well, we all pay taxes for public safety, and we just so happen to have an event. Yeah, it's a big event. It happens every year. It's, you know, it's understood. But, and then in the back of my mind, I'm looking at, okay, so we have the lodger's tax fund here, we have the general fund here that takes care of public safety and everything else the city needs. And I'm saying, well, maybe is the PD in short that we need to help support overtime so that they can make sure and have enough officers on the street and taking care of all those things. What are we trying, what's the overall or overarching goal here to do? And maybe, Mr. Manager, you could help me with that, but you understand sort of where I'm coming from. People say we're already paying for public safety no matter what we have going on in the community, but now we're using the special fund to help, you know, the general fund with overtime.
There's certain percentages that have to be paid, or they're allowable things that can be paid from lodger's tax. And infrastructure is one, marketing and advertising is one, and the third is supporting any tourism events. You can't maximize 100% of it for advertisement. We still have to use a certain percentage for those other two, infrastructure and public safety. So in the years past, the city really hadn't exercised those monies towards the overtime of those departments. So we're trying to utilize it for that.
So, Mr. Manager, this will be the first time we do this.
Well, it's, I wouldn't say it's the first time. I would say that we've done it in the past and it may have fallen off because, you know, for various reasons, they didn't see that, look, lodger's tax, some portion of lodger's tax can be used. Now, I think we need to be clarified, right? So we're just not paying, so I think the billable hour should be on the days that there's events, right? So for fiestas and so on, so you're hoping that PD is, or fire department is billing for those events, is counting hours for those events, and that's how it's going through lodger's tax. That, to me, that would be the best way to clarify it, is that, look, this is taxpayer money for the rest of the year. Lodger's tax is helping to fund overtime and whatnot for these event days, and so on. So,
And Mr. Chair, I think that's probably what the city will do, right? They'll say, here's the rally, here's the motorcycle rally.
but I've seen it in the past, right, and this is this instance when I've seen it done, they've specified, look, overtime for Fiesta, overtime for bike rally, and so on. That's what I've seen in the past. It's something that we have looked at in the past as far as the overall package, but my hope is that if there's any questions as to why it's coming out of lodger's tax, that it would be focused around tourist-related activities is the reason why it's coming out of lodger's tax. The overtime is required because we're having this event and we're trying to protect the public during this event. Is the clearest that I can.
Okay, I think that answers my question. And Mr. Chair, what process are we going to do? Are we gonna listen to the presentations and then sort of add everything up at the end and make one swoop motion, or what is your plan?
So all of these are discussion, right? Everything's under discussion items today. So all of this is for discussion for the next meeting, which is our regularly scheduled meeting. This is a scheduled this is a special meeting right now. For the regularly scheduled meeting is where we'll have it on the agenda as business items, so approve or disapprove.
Okay.
So today is all discussion. We're taking on presentations, we're learning on it, we're gonna discuss. I would encourage all of you, in the past, I've been trying to do this, and I shouldn't say this is a process that's used across the country as far as taking applications, scoring them, approving this. But I'm starting it in baby steps, is like, you guys are reading the application now. I would try scoring them on each one. At this point, I mean, the score is gonna be the score. We're really still going on approval, disapproval. But at some point in our future, we're gonna have more applications and more things than we'll have money for. Right? And at that point, that scoring is gonna get kind of important. We might have to choose between which event and which not. It's not just gonna be a clear cut. Some of these things that we're dealing with now is pretty clear cut. The funding, it's not at the correct use of large tax funds, or we don't have backup for it. That's a lot of the stuff we're doing now. But in the future, my hope is that we've got a whole stack of applications in front of us, and they're all great applications. And that's where the scoring is gonna come into play of here's how this is gonna work. At this point, we've just grown to the stage of, is this correct use of largest tax funding or not? Can we approve or disapprove? But I'd like to be able to start scoring the sections so we can get an idea of why we're asking the questions and what we're expecting from the public.
Okay, we're gonna start that process now. I do wanna
Right.
disclose that I went through all the applications here, and there's an awful lot of quotes that have my radio station listed as one of the people or entities that people are collecting information for.
That-
So I wanna make sure and disclose that first and foremost. I don't make the final decision, the city council does. But I do wanna let people know that because, I'm so tied into this, and I'm sort of almost a sole source, because at the end of the day, I have two stations that go past the 60 miles, and the other two border that. So I just want to make sure that's known by the public.
there,
And
yeah.
I think it's important, but I still want to be able to contribute both discussion and
So you can be part of the discussion. So next week when they are for approval, whatever applications have your radio stations on them, you will have to exclude yourself from the voting, but you could be part of the discussion.
Right, and that's long-standing, and that which reminds me, since we have new members, I try to do that whenever we have new members. I think we've done in the past. Maybe we could put it on the next agenda and just have it in the packet about
Like the conflict of interest?
conflict of interest. And we
Okay.
could have a small discussion real quick. We go over it, and that way everybody's refreshed and so on. I usually try to do it whenever there's new
I
members
just thought it
and so
was
on.
the right time to do it.
Right time, yeah. It did cross my mind when we were going through it, but we'll go on by one by one. Again, all of this is discussion today. On the next official meeting is where we'll have business items for approve to disapprove.
No
All right.
further questions, Mr. Chair.
No other questions?
No.
Okay. All right, so moving on to our first presentation, we've got New Legends Visitor's Guide Ad Buy.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you all? My name is Jean Delicio. I'm representing Steve Wharton for the operations support of New Legends Magazine, and I have a sneak preview of what we've been working on for our spring edition. I should turn this way. I'll just pass this around. I have a book for you, which is our current book. If you don't have one, it's our winter edition. I don't know if you've seen it. We pass it around quite a bit in Las Vegas, especially. It goes out at Love's quite a bit. We come out quarterly. We have 50,000 magazines that we print every quarter. And we've been in existence from 2016 to present. And we have become the most powerful print media in our region. And our website is growing. We have a website that has events and a full calendar. We've added some of your events. If you send it to us, we have events by the full calendar daily. And we have over 1 million readers in 5 states: Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. And we also mail out to 15 states. Our subscriptions keep growing, and we provide the most complete calendar. So we came down here to talk to Las Vegas first at the request of, Meredith's friend, Susie. So sorry. And we were going to do just a one-day trips, which is a special rate that we have, and they became very interested in our regional distribution, and we have, I think you have I noticed that I'm the only one that didn't have an amount on my list, so it's mainly an introduction to our magazine. We serve Colfax County and Union County in northern New Mexico, and we serve Los Animas County and Verafano County in southern Colorado. So this is a 2-page spread that we're doing for the group that is, I'll pass this around. And we probably have generated 2 stories and over 6 pages of advertising. We're coming down here to meet you all and working with Las Vegas First. And that's kind of what our proposal was, for a 2-page spread every quarter, which is $2,900 for a 2-page spread. But the best effect is if you advertise for over a year. We don't recommend just doing 1 quarter and getting out. And we will start more distribution in the Santa Fe area and also in Las Vegas. So we target, like I said, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. We physically have a certified racks in all the way up to Centennial in Denver. Colorado Springs is our certified rack distributor. He also takes 20,000 of our magazines and put them in certified racks in Pueblo, Canyon City, Colorado Springs. So we have a very active, and he always is running out of magazines. That's the one thing about our magazine. It goes out and we distribute all ourselves. My husband and I distribute to Kansas. And so our proposal was for 4 quarters, a 2-page ad. But we also wanted to show you in our proposal that we have costs like distribution. Would you take that to the first next? Could you take that to the meeting on Thursday? Sure. So you can see it. Sure. Thank you. And that's, the other part is the printing. So we pay over $28,000 a quarter in printing. So we had divided that up into 5. And when we talked to Montana, I guess we weren't really eligible for any of the printing costs. So we just were trying to submit the bid for $11,600 for the whole year. And if you have any more questions about our magazine, we have, what else? We distribute in hotel and motel rooms throughout the region. In welcome centers, we have rest stops, Russell's Travel, Super Save, Safeway, a lot of museums. All of our, if you'll notice, the pages that have the restaurants, the shopping, and the all together, the Aguilar, from Aguilar to all the way to Clayton, every business is listed. Every restaurant, that is registered with those cities as a bona fide business. The restaurants, the hotels, they're all listed because it is a tourism generator. It is supposed to be promoting events, and our calendar promotes events online. And if you'll notice, the centerfold is funded by the Raton Lodgers tax this quarter, and Colfax County is also going to be long. If you look at we've started right here. Yeah, there you go. The centerfold was purchased by for 4 quarters by the Raton Lodgers tax. And Trinidad's trying to increase our tax rate to 6%. We're only 3% on lodger's tax. So what is your lodger's tax rate, DOE?
It's 5%.
Oh,
5%. So we're really low in Trinidad, even though the hotel prices are kind of high.
Well, you're capped at 5%, so.
You are capped at
Yeah.
5%.
It's a tough time to go to 6.
Okay. Well, I think that's all I have right now, and if you want to look at our targeted distribution, like I said, is in these 5. We will be extending into Albuquerque and Santa Fe and San Miguel County. We have over 19,000 visitors per month on our website, and we are continuing to build our organic website traffic. So I'll pass this around, and I want to thank the Las Vegas First Independent Business, Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce, Main Street, and also the Citizens for Concern Preservation. How do you say that again? CCHP, because they are one of our, they'll be in our advertisements next year. Here's one page more, and hope to bring the magazines down in about a week. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
I do, Mr. Chair.
And,
If I may, 2 things. Is this the first time you approach us
Yes,
in
it is.
this? Okay.
And it's the
So-
first time we've had our magazine down here distributed in mostly the motels, but we've never approached here is our rate sheet, and we've never approached you personally.
Okay, and then my second question is, you mentioned that those other communities have all of the restaurants, all the hotels listed. If we buy something, or is that a consideration moving forward, that you'd be able to list all our stuff as well?
Yes, that's what our goal is to list all the restaurants that are, like I said, registered, and we already got the list from Montana.
Okay.
The hotels, the motels, restaurants, and shopping. You might not be able, you have over 45 barber shops and hair salons, so I'm not sure we can, but that would be in the pages that you would be paying for, would be those complete listings of all businesses.
So it'd be an ad separate, but you would include all these other
Yeah,
businesses?
here's a sample of that page
Okay.
that we're working on. So it include all the businesses that we received from what is your office called, the planning department? That listed all the registered.
Okay. Just, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
And we would like to include your broadcasting company too, right? You'd have to, and we'll- okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I've picked up your legend
Oh,
many
good.
years up in Trinidad.
Okay,
So when I go to the blues festival up there, I notice that you have QR codes almost on everything and anything. I hope that if we purchase anything, that our businesses and the city put QR codes on everything.
Yeah.
Because you can only hold on to this for so long. Once you snap the QR code, you're linked.
and our policy has been, if they purchase an advertisement with us, we do put the bold listing on the complimentary listing page. If they buy an ad, you can see that there's a different color and they do get a QR code if they buy an ad.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw those, yes.
But you're right, that QR code is really a vital thing these days, and you're right.
It's-
I don't want to
I mean, if
leave home without it.
if we get another pandemic, QR codes, you're gonna have them.
Right.
You're not gonna have these, because this spreads germs.
Okay.
Here you go, thank you.
Okay.
So, this is kind of an unusual request, because it's working reverse, so you're approaching us to the Lodgers Tax Board to buy ads?
Yes,
And then is that on behalf of?
of this city, of the people that, we would represent, the membership of the chamber, the membership of the
Right. So
Main Street, and
in some of these other events have approached you for ad buys, right? I saw them in the other events that are going through there.
yes,
They've approached you to-
CCHP wants to advertise their event in
Right.
our magazine, and that'll be.
And normally that's how we've seen something where they've approached a publication like yours to advertise in, because of circulation and so on. This was an unusual request because you're asking us to purchase ad space, but I'm not, as far as we were talking about procurement of, I'm not sure this would be the route that we would use.
Well, we
No.
wish we could have bid on that. We didn't realize you had the bid in November, and Sunny 505 may have gotten, because we do website.
That was one
development.
way, yeah. And if certainly, I mean, within these bids, the city has some projects that they're gonna be presenting today as well. And if they wanted to market through your publication, they could put that in for request. So that's usually how we can go through the process. It's we to my knowledge, we haven't made direct ad buys without having the substance or what we're gonna do with that money, or the sponsoring entity, whoever that may be, whatever groups of what it's gonna be.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, in relation to what you're describing, now, what did Raton do? Did they buy it as a lodger's tax board?
Lodgers Tax Board bought the 2 pages for 4 quarters, and that's $2,900 a quarter.
Okay, so with the under,
The ad, they actually have the staff that made up the ad, that puts the dates and made up the ad. So the city staff did make up the ad.
okay, so you're sort of following what's going on in that other community.
Yes, it's
We-
kind
We've
of,
not done that before, I guess is what our chair's saying, and that
Yeah,
doesn't mean
the-
it doesn't work, but I think at the end, I'm looking at the free listings for the hotels, the restaurants, all those entities, 'cause I think that's sort of a neat way to look at it, and then if we can include some of these other entities, I think that would be good. So that may be a first for us, but I understand why you went that route, why you came to us this way.
right,
It makes sense.
thank you. And
And it may be the route you can, that we've been having to take, at the moment. But normally, like they say for Raton, there would be somebody with the city of Raton working with lodgers tax. So you would be communicating with City of Raton, somebody with City of Raton saying, hey, this would be a good idea to do that. City of, whichever official within City of Raton approaches lodgers tax, and lodgers tax approves, say, yeah, this would be a good ad buy for these things. So, but it's within that fashion. I don't, as a lodgers tax advisory board, and then going to council, I'm not sure what power the advisory board has to say is like, hey, we'll just make this. And that's why we tried to talk about procurement early. But if you get together with city manager or with Montana or replacement and start that process and say, so Chuck Riego is gonna be presenting and Montana for some of the city-related events further down our agenda. But you connect with them and you come up with, hey, this would be a good idea to advertise for the town as a whole, then lodgers tax, that could be presented to lodgers tax and we could be ready to approve. I'm just talking about the process. I don't see why something can't be
it's a good way to
done
go
with it.
approach it again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and you'll see these groups these 6 pages will be dedicated to Las Vegas. And then once you see it in hard copy, it'll make more sense. And then we can, like you said, go through another process to make sure we reflect the wishes of the city on what events. All right. Well, thank you for your time and enjoy it. We still love coming down here. I think you have I have an event that I have given to the CCHP that we're having on June 3rd, the Trinidad Historical Preservation Commission. And we are having a day-long event about the culture and architecture of Trinidad. So we're trying to evolve some kind of tourism, one-day trips for you all to come up there and for us to come down here. So it's over 100 miles, so it's a fun drive in the wind.
I just had one more question. So your distribution is 50,000?
A quarter, and so it's
50,000 a quarter.
200,000, we print 200,000 magazines a year.
Okay.
And we self-distribute almost everything south of Pueblo.
And distribution costs are all covered within your
Well, not really, that's why I put the distribution cost was part of our application was
Okay.
about 5,000 a quarter for driving and food and distribution and finding the right places that really go out and making sure that our magazine is always out or filled up.
Yeah.
And the other part was the printing.
It's a big, it's that portion of it is a sizable expense. Printing is expensive, so which brings me to the web portion of it. Is the entire catalog digitized or is it?
Yes, all the
portion?
magazine is digitized on our website and our past digital, we have over 19 magazines since 2016. And most of them are digitized on our website. There's about 5 right now on the website.
Okay,
Previous.
so
most
like
recent.
you could see this,
Yes, you can see that right on the website. Hopefully, we haven't got our one of our graphic designers and our website designer is a little bit sick, so we had to kind of wait, but most of it is updated regularly, especially the calendar. My husband spends about 3 hours on the calendar, just making sure all the daily calendar of events are published. And we just added the March 31st music theme here. And anytime you send anything to Steve, he will publish on our calendar, and it's growing rapidly. It has 5 counties now represented. And it's a real easy, user-friendly. You can pull it up on your phone and you can see go to www.newlegends.co, not C-O-M, and you'll see our full calendar. And we've been very happy with our distribution. It's just one of the things that we really get out. And the biggest distribution places, if you ever go to Colorado City, that little bathroom break rest area is one of the, we bring them 4 boxes every other week. And that is a big Texas, Kansas drive, and they are always out from that place. And so we'd like to find some other spots down here too that are city or state, what do you call those, visitor centers. But thank you for your time, and we'll keep working with you all, and hopefully, well, our magazine will be out in about a week for this spring, and thank you for putting me on first, and
Thank you.
or second.
Any other discussion? I just wanted to cap that with, look, in the past, we've typically had some type of guide for the city, a visitor's guide or so on. I haven't seen a bid in this for the applications, but also I believe we were trying to start that or some type of guide. My preference is that we hedge more towards digital at this point, just for the cost, but we'd like to have something. So I know that was gonna be part of the purview of Sunny 505 for some of the project. Hopefully we get to get moving on that portion. What we had done with the visitor's guide is the city had bought pages out of that section to talk about fiestas, talk about history, but pages were bought out of there. And so the heaviest distributions were, during our big events for the summer. I don't know if we have a plan going into fiestas in lieu of having something distributed that, or this year, do we have any presentations as far as I think in between, because we couldn't print so much, we had
So right now we don't,
brochures.
for fiestas, we do have, we did get some stuff for print. So when we get to those ones, we'll show that we did, we got quotes for digital, print, and like radio station. So for those events for the city, we did hit, basically everything that we could within marketing. So when that comes up, you guys will have the breakdown and the quotes for all of it.
Yeah. So it's a concern, because to me it's a bit of a vacuum until we get addressed as far as we're well addressed as far as having our website going and having some type of guide. It's a vacuum right now, but I'm just providing some information when in the past when we've had, this reminds me of a visitor's guide. We've had something where we've done every year. Again, our push has been moving into digital. And I'll say it again, I'll just update the year, we're in 2023. So whatever we can do to digital, that doesn't mean that we wouldn't print anything, it's just that the ratio would be towards digital things. I may leave my house without this, but I'm not leaving my house without this. Just can't make it any clearer. And I don't care how old you are. So my mom could use it, grandmother could use it. That's where it is. Again, I don't want to say that we shouldn't print anything. I would say that our attention should be on the digital end and pushing towards that as our focus. But I just wanted to cap it with.
I want to make a comment on,
Mhm.
You're absolutely right about not leaving your phone, and you take it everywhere. But I like the fact that they do the QR code, so if I don't take this, when I'm looking at it and I see something, I'm gonna snap it. I don't read it right away, but it will link me to different areas of the state that I wanna go see, what's there to offer. If I go up and down Denver, back and forth, twice a month. So I mean, I'm hitting that road, and there's offshoots that I haven't gone to see. And when I pick this up or look at my phone, oh, you know what, I got some time, I can,
And-
go
and the
off.
good thing
That's what I
about
like
that-
about it.
Yeah, and the good
Is
thing
you're right about the
that,
digital, but you're covering 2 states,
well,
definitely,
and you can tie
and
it
you're
to-
picking,
you can
and
tie it
you're
to digital.
picking up Colorado, Texas, Kansas. So these people are traveling, they're moving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all on your phone.
You can definitely, that's a way where if we're looking for, hey, how effective was this? I mean, with the QR codes, we could connect up accounts. So if somebody hits the QR code, that's something that you could count. How many people, because it's a tough part. You have a distribution of so much. And you may have distributed and they have all disappeared. I'm gonna be honest, right? As a hotelier, we have boxes of this stuff. Okay, we've distributed it and so on, but once it gets old, we. Okay, and so I'm sure that's happened across this. I know we could be more efficient. I know we could probably get better than this. I would rather have something than the vacuum of nothing. Again, that's why I brought up, hey, we've had a visitor's guide before, the ad events and so on. It is something that we need to put back and get going on. But when we've talked about it before is that, look, it's either, it's in the digital realm of make it easier for you to do on this, okay? And if it is on print, yes, that's the even bonus is that, hey, how do we connect and make it more convenient? We can count it. Okay, we can actually see how many hits that brought us, how many counts that they got into somebody's hands, and somebody actually made the effort to do that. Now, if you put it underneath the listings of the hotels or restaurants, that's even more. Now you can translate directly into this was how many lodgers tax money that it translates into, that they
Right.
booked a room.
Right.
So we can take this to that thing, but we need to be moving to that process. And if we're still stuck with things that we've been doing 30 years ago, then that makes it tough. So doing QR codes, doing some of these things is steps to arriving in the present.
Real quick, so the reason this was not with amounts is because procurement. So the way to look at procurement is people cannot come and solicit the city has to be the solicitor. That's why this one became just a presentation so that
Right.
you guys as a board can see, okay, is this a good idea? Cause you guys as a board can decide if you guys wanna do something within marketing the events, whatever, you guys can make that decision, but you guys have to go out, or the city has to go out and be like, okay, we wanna use it and we could use lodger's tax to justify that. That's why this was put without the amount, because the way that it's presented, you can't pay them because they're
Right.
coming to you. We have to be the ones to ask them, okay, send us a quote for a 2-page ad or whatever it is that we wanna market. That's why it was with the amounts got cut off.
And
It's just
and that's
because of
why I
our
brought up
procurement.
the visitor's guide in the past, where it wasn't the visitor's guide. The city said, hey, we want so many pages in there, and cities approached lodgers tax saying, okay, we need to have this much space, this is what the cost is, and so on. And then that visitor's guide, similar to this one, went out to the public, and the public were able to purchase ads in that. But as far as the output from lodgers tax, it always went through the city asking for, and so on. But if that's clear, we'll move on. All right, and moving on to discussion on Las Vegas CCHP, a place with a past and heritage week and holiday home tour of 3,000.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you. First of all, I want to thank Montana for how well you speak to people asking questions stuff. I appreciate that because it makes us feel welcome. And I just want to make that note that she's been very professional in how she's dealt with us. What we're talking about is a collaborative in the city with over 20 organizations that work together to put on Heritage Week, which is between August 5th and the 12th. And there's a lot of different events that take place during that timeframe that talk about heritage, talk about reclamation of adobe buildings, different things. Right now, we start off that week with Places with the Past Tour. And Places with the Past Tour, there are already people starting to establish reservations for lodging. We work with Sun Tours out of Albuquerque that are already making reservations. They bring buses of people that attend this Places with the Past event. And we've changed a little bit of our philosophy, showing specific sites within our region. This year, we've included the Rural College, 4 or 5 other buildings within Las Vegas, but we've also added 3 mills that are in Morrow County. We're including the La Cueva Mill, the St. Vrains Mill, and the Cleveland Mill, so that people can see things here in the morning. They will get their lodging here, have their lunch, and then go in the afternoon to see our surrounding area, because that brings tourism to Las Vegas by showing that we have a wealth of places to see in our region. Just to talk about, originally we had asked for $3,000, but we were asked to bring in quotes. So when you start going and looking at quotes, we're mirroring something that took place 3 years ago, and we found out that things have changed a little bit, and we went out and we're trying to expand our advertisement, our marketing outside of this region. We've already taken an ad with the Legends magazine for a quarter page that just talks about 2 events, the Places with the Past Tour, but we also wanted to add our winter tour that we have, our holiday tour, which is in December. It's usually the day before, the day after the Electric Light Parade here in Las Vegas. So we sort of try to collaborate with that so that we're doing things on an opposite night. This year, the holiday tour is going to be on the 2nd, so we're going to have our holiday tour on the 1st. So we're looking at a lot of different ways to collaborate and spread out our use of marketing. So what we've done is, for this summer quarter, we're going to do another half-page ad with the Legends magazine of $780. In addition, we're going to do 4 months of marketing through the Santa Fe New Mexican. And the reason there is we have a lot of different events. Right now, Luna Community College is going to be having an open reception where they're going to have people that are going to talk about building restoration, adobe restoration. We have an artist that did the Learning Las Vegas book is going to come and speak. We're working on those details right now on that. And then we have a author out of Colorado that's going to come talk about the Gonzalez family that originated down in Garita down in near Trementina and that area, the Gonzalez family. So we're looking at having a wealth of different heritage aspects on that particular thing, working with Luna Community College to present and host that. We're also working with the Fort Union and also working with other entities to have their events. So we're in the planning stages right now for those events, and we're locking down that calendar. But we want to be able to talk about individual events as well as the general event of Heritage Week so that we can really show different aspects of that week. One of the things we're doing is we're working with the United World College, of course, with the tour, and we're working with Highlands and Luna Community College. We're going to be sponsoring the Rogers Building. They've just renovated it, and it's a WPA. We'll have someone talking about that aspect of the building. We also have Elks. They're involved, and we collaborate with them on a family day where last year we gave over 150 backpacks to students starting school, which is a big benefit for them, and it's a family day event at Carnegie Library. So we'll have to coordinate with the city on that one in all aspects, and let me tell you, that I learned that process last year to work with them on that. The other things we're gonna do is we're gonna be working with 2 radio stations, KNMX and KBQL. They reach past those events, but we're also gonna work with KFUN. We've already paid for some stuff where we'll market through them and do some local marketing also, just so that we can get the local community involved with the event. But we wanna reach out to Texas and southern Colorado and get those venues in. So we're looking at trying to just really expand everything that we're doing to make every dollar work for us. We're gonna be working with a lot of different organizations so that when we get those posters made, we'll go pay for some posters. Those will go on their websites and they'll be sending those, people will be accessing those websites for the people, clientele that they serve. So this is the 31st annual Places with the Past tour. This tour has grown. Last time we had over 700 participants that did the tour. And so right now we are working with people in Colorado that are going to be presenting and participating, people out of New York City that are going to come and do presentations, who have visited our area and want to participate. So we're looking at bringing a lot of different people to have lodging here, stay here, and enjoy what we have to offer. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, we'll open up to the board.
I'm just glad it's back.
Yeah, during COVID and the fire, we had people calling us constantly, are you putting the Places with the Past tour? Are you putting, and this year we're able to say yes. We're already talking to people that are wanting us to send us information on this particular event.
The on as far as the buys and so on, so it looks like you had an updated because it was a little bit more than the 5,000. And then so you have New Legends and then Santa Fe, New Mexican for the print, and then SDC Broadcasting. Forgive me.
That's us.
That is
Yeah.
okay. So I'm used to seeing KNMX and so on. So
Of course, we did the New Legends. We've already done an advertisement. We will, and then we'll do other local advertising also, just to let our local community know that we're doing this. So we will be spending more than just this amount. We'll be spending some more dollars to get this word out.
So I've been thinking, this was the first presentation, but I know when we had comments in the past of how to make connections, if the hotels worked with you, right? Would they be because that there's a section where you're selling tickets, right? Is that
Right.
what I was
We'll
saying?
be selling tickets. We have already gotten phone calls from Suntour, and we know they've already made reservations already because they've called us a year in advance
Okay.
for this event. So we're collaborating with them. We're going to communicate with them more on what's actually going to be done. So we'll be informing them. We'll actually create a brochure also that'll have information on each one of these places that they're going to be visiting with Places of the Past tour. And of course, we're working with all these other organizations that are bringing their presentations. April 12th, we meet every month. And for the first 2 or 3 months, we'll be doing that. Then we'll get to weekly meetings with these collaborative members.
Okay.
So it's not just CCHP. This is a community that's putting on this event. And so we're working with the city, we're working with federal agencies, county entities, and we're working with a lot of businesses to put on this event.
Is there a way or any for connection as far as quantity? I've always wanted to put quantity because just so we want to see if we're growing the event. Say the hotel provides a folio for the stay, and they're able to provide a hotel folio. It wouldn't have any of their stay. It would just have, hey, they stayed on this date for this event, and they were provided. And maybe you provide a discount on the ticket or so on.
Absolutely.
But that would be a way to
We can actually
count.
put that in our brochure where it explains it, because we're also gonna have registration at CCHP where we can say, we prefer that this, if you're doing any hotel reservations, these are the benefits that you can have.
These are the benefits, just send us a folio. Again, it doesn't have to have the detail, it just has the arrival and departure. And that way you've got number of stays right off the bat.
Right.
So I was thinking about that on that question, and that's part of the question, but that helps you definitely answer that question, and we can see that growth there for the number. As far as, I know we're resetting, it's been 3 years, but say we get the count in the future, what would you think of as far as, I mean, we'd look at these results, but anticipation would be maybe marketing further out, and we'd be able to bring visitors from further out.
Absolutely. I really want to start a lot earlier. We're already starting to plan our awards banquet for next year. Usually we did it 3 or 4 months before, but last year we were sold out 2 weeks beforehand. And the thing is, we maxed the capacity of where we went to. But this year we're already starting the planning, the venue, and doing that out a year in advance. And we'd like to do the same thing for Heritage Week, and we're already planning the holiday tour now with advertisements. So we're doing the same. We would like to get ahead of the game a little bit more.
Sure.
And then as far as the report, contractually, when we sign that contract, if it's in there, we have to abide by that contract. And we have no problem following all of the aspects of the contract that they provide to us. So that would be a good place to put it. That becomes the mandate, is
In the contract.
in the contract. Say, you must provide a report in the next quarter after the event. And that's fine. We're more than willing to do that, because we do take a lot of statistics on the event. How many participants, where they're from, we try to get all that aligned for the report.
Yeah, look, my thoughts were is changing the dynamics of, if we keep promoting the idea of growth and the representation of growth, and we have the proper backup for it and documentation, then caps and so on aren't needed. We could keep growing this event as long as that backup is. And so if we have the right ideas and the right reports for it, then we can go in that vein. Right, and ultimately, we'd like to be in that vein where we have events, and especially because this has been around for a while now, right? We've just been wanting to say, hey, what does this mean? What have we done with it over so many years? Is it working? Should we keep throwing money at it the same way, or should we do it a better way? And then once we've discovered a better way, then we could keep increasing the funding for it.
And I agree with you. I believe in accountability, and that's what it's about. It's about accountability, growth, and the one thing is that you did mention the pamphlets, doing a hybrid of that. I believe in that ratio, that you come up with a ratio that we get those, because a lot of people who stop in and visit CCHP, they do like the handouts that we provide them, but I also believe they actually reach our site, and we get a lot of communication through our website where they're asking us for information, where they had a sheriff that was here in 1880 and they want the background. So we're out there looking at grave sites and stuff like that, trying to get them their information. So I agree.
And the hope is we gather this along with our full-on marketing, with whatever we're doing Son of Fire. This is an asset of the city. This certainly should be on a bigger event that we can approve. It's part of our whole. So the hope is that outside of the event, we're able to market what's being done and the effort that you guys are putting forth.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for presenting. Any discussion on the item? All right, if there's no further discussion, we'll move on to the next one, which is presentation of bridge. Seems like it's missing, but Bridge Vegas. Okay, now I got it. So presentation of Bridge Vegas LLC mobile guide app in the amount of $2,295.
Good afternoon, my name is Jan Burskins, and I'm here for my husband Frank, who had a doctor's appointment that had been on his books for 5 months and couldn't cancel it. The request is for an amount of $2,295 for an annual licensing fee for exactly what you've been talking about all morning, a QR code accessible public service for visitors coming to Las Vegas, and even for Las Vegas people themselves, that provides tours on your phone. And have you all had a chance to go on it from looking at the application? Okay? No. Little bit of history. 3 years ago, this application was developed in order to highlight the historic places in Las Vegas. We have over 400 historic buildings on the historic registry. We think it's one of the main attractions that brings people to Las Vegas. And it's a way that a visitor can come in, can scan a QR code. Right now, there are rack cards at the visitor center, at Castaneda Hotel, at the Plaza, on locations on Bridge Street. There's one by the Riverwalk. So a visitor can come in, scan the QR code, and they get this Connect to Las Vegas application. You go on it and you can have select a number of tours. You can see the historic homes in Bridge Street. You can see them on Douglas Avenue. You can pick up certain areas. And as you click on the areas, you get a chance to see what buildings are in that area. So let's say you wanted to see the historic plaza. By clicking on that site, you can go to the Plaza Hotel, you find out about the history. All the data was collected from the National Historic Register. There are photos of all of the buildings. And the beauty of this application is that you can track who uses it, how many times it was used. By who using it, you can even see what states they came from. So since it was, there are over 1,000 people that have used this app. And once it's on your phone, it's there. It's a great benefit for visitors to Las Vegas. Questions?
I'll put up for discussion.
Yeah, I remember when you guys brought this to us, and we were gonna pay the initial fee, the cost of it, and then it was gonna be yours to do. Now, you're back here with, again, a fee.
The initial fee was paid for by CCHP.
Well, what was
And
that?
they paid for
But you
2
guys did
years.
come to us for something.
For marketing information, to be able to do posters and the QR codes. And then CCHP decided that they wanted to use just their website, which didn't include all the tours. So we said we'd pay for it for a year rather than let it go. And the request now is to come and get it paid for by lodger's tax for the coming year. It's due every fall. Now, your question could be, well, will this continue on? There are many things that can be done with this. You could include advertisements on here. You can put QR codes. Even Mr. Richard was talking about, could we put art gallery tours on? So there are ways you can really expand this. We could do different marketing venues, put restaurants on, and collect a fee for it. But right now, it's just to enable this to continue.
So who is going to, what entity will be paying for the updates on, to keep it current?
There's nobody that pays for anything other than the annual fee. Frank is the one that updates any new information, and he's been doing that really as a public service. So he's doing all of this monitoring without charge.
So if anything happens to Frank, what happens to the updates on that? Is there somebody else that will continue updating it so it doesn't die, it doesn't get stuck in that one?
That's a good question, and we can certainly make a provision for that, so that it could be, yes, that's a good idea.
Because the
Mention-
apps are great, but you gotta have somebody who's monitoring them
Right, and
and updating them, and, you know, it's, because it is a cost, an initial cost, and then you have to have the annual cost.
the annual
continuous.
cost is the licensing fee, and the upkeeping cost right now is free to
Mhm.
the city. It's being donated by Frank.
Right.
And
Right,
and I'm sure we can put provisions in, as Frank said, there's not a whole lot of difficulty. I'm not a tech person, so I can't volunteer, but I think we can certainly find somehow to do that.
well, my question would be, is there somebody in the city, in the department, that could be collaborating or being mentored? So when and if that does happen, that it continues, even though the licensing will be paid for yearly,
Right.
but the updating, the monitoring of it will be continuous.
And
It'll
again,
have a flow, a continuous flow.
it would depend on people, staffing, to
So
take
that would be
somebody.
a question for the city.
Yeah.
Could they take that on, you know, rather than a private entity?
Or Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
or somebody, yes.
Because it is a job. I mean, it requires technical skills to understand all the graphics, all the analytics, everything on there, and to
That-
maintain it.
That has all been though set up, all of the photographs, the descriptions, all that is currently set up. So the hard part, the difficult part, the hours and hours of input has been done. What you'd like to do is make sure, and in listening to how you want reports, there can certainly be yearly reports for all of the data that's captured. So the lodger's tax, the city, the chamber would know how many visitors you had, where they came from, how long they stayed on looking at the site. All that's captured and can easily be done because it's all now digitized and handed in as a report.
This is a question for the city. Where do you get your analytics from? Is it from this?
No, because we haven't gotten the mobile app. The analytics that we have are the ones that come off the website. And those are the ones that I think IT is providing, that can provide.
So we're doing two analytics that basically do the same thing.
I think
Same
this app is
information?
different than what we're doing, because the analytics that we have is for the city website.
It'd be totally different. Right now on the city website, you can't go and take a tour of the
Yeah,
different
that's,
areas. It's,
But you do have information about the historic sites, the districts, whatever, you know, what events are happening and so forth when people come, because they're looking up the city of Las Vegas.
I'm not too sure, I haven't been on the website, so I'm not too sure what's on the website, maybe
Okay.
Leo can answer it.
Yeah, I just don't want to be overlapping on stuff if we're paying for this one and it's doing some of the same things over here and we're paying for this too.
Yeah,
So, you
but until those things are developed, we need to fill that vacuum. But I mean, just going back, I mean, this was a project that was, and some of the questions and some of the things that have happened since were some of the questions I'm gonna present now. And that was the license. I believe we did help with the purchase of the license on the first round. My concerns were at that time with licensing and who owned it. What is, and I see what the documentation was CCHP, and I believe Frank emailed me in the past about it. But at that point, it was not something that Lodgers Tax could approach at that time. So is it again possible on procurement where the license, if this needs to be, is the entity is the city and not an individual? So if we run into a position where that entity or that thing disappears, the investment made by the city just doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
That would be the content as well. If there were volunteer content, we want to be able to continue this on. If we're building something, we just don't want it to disappear in a dispute where who's to continue on. So if this is infrastructure, cause it is an application for infrastructure, we did it in the last one, this is tourism infrastructure. In my mind, if we called it, this is a city entity, this is something that to me, for the tourism portion, we can do. But I'd like the license to be towards the city, and I would want it to be exploring that the city is the license holder. And yes, as the entity or the volunteer group that wants to provide the content for that, that's fine, the city can continue doing that license, but the content that is with that license also belongs to the town,
That would be
to us.
something, right, to bring up with the city.
Yeah,
to
I mean, we've
discuss
already
with the city.
been down that rabbit hole where with another marketing company, we didn't get nothing.
Right, right.
So that is, it sits way up high. Whatever is produced, whatever we pay, it is the city's property.
And the discussion needs to be with the city and the willingness of the city to take.
And however we need to do it, or when we work out the contract, say we're paying for this license, look, I mean, there needs to be a solution for the continuity. If
Yep.
something happens with wherever the licensures be, if somehow for procurement, this is not the way to go, for the verbiage in our contract, if we're providing that needs to be, okay, well, this is the transference of. So then, I mean, just to put into context, what are the issues currently with what's happened with CCHP as far as the development of the app? What can you elaborate on that a little bit
Meeting that.
as far as the licensing?
Well, the licensing is, I wish I could give you exactly the licensing was, let's see. It was always done privately through CCHP. CCHP wasn't involved in the initial license of it because they didn't have the desire, the technical knowledge to do that. So that was developed by Frank. CCHP decided that they didn't have the ability to desire to purchase that and to keep it going because they didn't have the technical support. They didn't have anybody on staff. And the board members who had been supporting that, Doyle Daves, they resigned. So there was a real switch in the makeup of CCHP, and the decision was they didn't want to continue with the historic tours. So that's about what I can tell you.
And so there's a connecting letter as far as transferring a license. What is that I mean, and a balance to be paid. So what's that expectation? Is that balance from Frank for it, or in order to get another license, CCHP need to be paid?
No, there's no agreement with CCHP for paying anything or anybody owing anything. The annual license fee is something that the software company, this app is very specific how they do a tour. And the company that developed it, supposed to be like, QuickBooks has their own app or Word. You get paid a fee for using the app, and in using this app, you pay an annual fee because it's very specific. So CCHP had agreed to pay the app initially, the application, the annual fee, and then they decided when they didn't want to continue because they didn't have the staff, Frank said, I don't want to see it disappear, we'll pay for it.
Okay, so you that makes sense now. So Frank purchased the remainder of this 956 from CCHP, and so right now this license is under Frank completely. CCHP is no
Correct.
longer involved with the license,
Correct.
Okay, and as far as the content of what's been put on there, that's domain for everyone. There's
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, this is, anybody can access it.
Okay.
It's for the public.
Okay, it just needs help in development.
It just needs to be paid a fee, just, no different than you having to pay a fee for when you're using something.
Okay. So I'll go back to it because this was the original idea. So if say the city had the license and
Right.
you put it out to the public where you would like everyone to it's kind of open source is hey, come up with a tour and develop it. Here's how it's developed and we'll put it on this app. Is that possible or we would be just doing whatever say Frank or someone would be developing for it?
Well, because of the technology, somebody couldn't develop their own app and put it on here.
Well,
But
it's
they could
content.
come and say, here's an idea, I'd like to do an art gallery tour.
Mhm.
And I'll help provide pictures of the different art galleries, where they're located. We'll give you the captions of, of what we want said. They could come to Frank and get it on.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
um
But I think the other question I hear is that this is something that the city should make sure there's a way that it can continue if something should happen, or in fact, perhaps pay the licensing fee or the annual software fee for it.
well, we
But
can,
that's-
but we also want the content to be developed. So I was just saying is that, look, if we're doing this, say somebody wants to come up with a film tour, this would be added along with that list, and they would
Yes.
develop the content for it. And again, it
would
would be
get
part of our and downloaded. And so
Yeah.
that brings me to my next question is we're counting the number of downloads of the actual app,
Correct,
but the individual downloads of what they're seeing on the tour,
yes.
that's something we need to
That's
develop.
also, it's
Is it in
also
their count?
documented, where they went, which ones they pulled up.
I think
Okay.
you all have this now, there's a,
So I've got the number of downloads for the apps and where they're from, I believe.
Yeah, and
it also
But-
tells you the pages viewed.
Okay.
So that you know, how many people looked up Santa Fe Trail, how many,
we looked up the railroad district, how many people wanted to see the plaza. So each specific page is looked at and pulled up. and
Okay.
We get data for how long they stayed on a page.
So you do, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you can, provided maybe we could separate, on the pages that we have with the packet, it just has the app downloads and where they came
Okay.
from, but not the details on where the individual details on what tour they were on and so
Okay.
on.
It's on the recent handout that you all have now, unless that one.
Is that today?
so the page viewed on page 8 tells you the pages viewed. And it is nice, there's a tour with the WPA projects, and Lawrence was talking about a WPA, and that can be highlighted. The dates of special events can be put on.
You have a page 8 on yours?
I don't, only 5, goes up to
It goes
5.
up to 5.
It might be on the original, on the
Okay,
packet that we have.
Okay,
I can send it to you.
so we can have that. My hope is that we can, look, CCHP is one group, but my hope, and Africa's, but my hope is that we can, if we are, that this is something where we can open it up to the public. I don't think it's too hard, especially for this thing, as somebody looking up, hey, how do I make a tour for this app? I think it can be looked up and developed, and I think a lot of people can develop this content. It's not too crazy technical for this app. And I think it needs development. It needs somebody, I mean, if Trolley Tours wanted it, I mean, I think it would be a great license for the city to have. If this is an easy way to do it,
Yeah.
then any entities can put their tour on this, on this app. I think that will be the better app, and it could turn into the city app. Like somebody, if it's not approached by 7505, it could be the city app of tours. But I think the content is the biggest key. I know we're going in circles around the license. The license, I should be clear. I think it should be owned by the public so that we can open it up to the public to put tours down on there. Now, it needs to be helped, and how do we do that? Then there could be individual entities that can help that entity say, hey, I'll help you develop a tour for this app. But it needs content on there. I think the licensing fee, for Logistacks to be able to do it under infrastructure, I think that's doable. I just want it to be owned by the city and the public.
Okay,
And that clears up a lot of these questions, and the next question is, okay, how do we get more people to help Frank develop more tours for this
Yeah.
this thing?
And how do we get the city to,
If nobody else is volunteering to be the administrator of said tours that people would want, then that's something that we would develop. But
okay.
I think if we talk to city, if we can clear up the ownership of, I think to me this would be an easy decision for me to help us start developing
Okay,
something.
so what I'm hearing is once that's cleared up, then marketing money could go toward developing new tours.
More tours on this app.
Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you all.
there are cards here, I can pass mine, yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, if there's any other discussion, we'll move on to the next one. Presentation of number 11, Trolley Tours LLC in the amount of $5,000.
There you go. There you go.
My name is Margot Segura, and I am the CEO of Number 11 Trolley Tours. And we're excited about this new adventure here in Las Vegas. We've got a little bit late starting because of the situations that we've had with the COVID and the fires and the floods. And so officially, I was looking at some notes today, and officially we started meeting and talking about the development of this company now since July. We started off as a nonprofit, but it became a little bit cumbersome to continue the route of the nonprofit. So we ended up putting together a team and creating and buying the trolley that has been here for over 8 years in Las Vegas. It has been used over the last 5 years in parades and exhibits. And so anyway, we purchased the trolley, and we are in the last phases of getting all the information together that we need to begin to use our trolley. Our goal is to open up summer with 3 tours as general tours, 2 times a day, 3 times a week. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's kind of like an appetizer tour. It's a 2-hour tour, 22 miles. We will be going all around, mostly West Las Vegas, up to the cemeteries on Mexico 65 and then back down. And we are working with CCHP, we are working with Main Street, we are working with members of other community groups, the Girl Scouts and different JCs. We are a member of the chamber, so we're basically been putting together our efforts to work as a group in the community, because our first tours will probably be people of the community. And it's an interactive tour in that we will ask people questions and they can give us feedback. We are going to have monitors so that we can talk about areas that we can't really go to, but maybe invite people to go. And our whole point, our Tour and Explore campaign, is to get people to be interested in something enough to stay overnight, go to the restaurants, go walking around to the museums and shops, and to learn the true history, culture, film, and eco-tourism here in the state, here in our town. We only have 1 trolley at this point, and hopefully it can expand, but we're just on our virgin trolley. This is our little tour and explore. We're going to be on Twitter. You're talking about all the digital, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Linktree. We've already gotten people calling from Arizona, California to come and book. And we're just kind of coming up to the summer, so we're hoping that pretty soon we'll be able to open up. And so what we came to the lodgers tax for was to get money, funds so that we could do some advertising and reach out to areas beyond 60 miles and also focusing on the local tourism.
Yeah, so if you notice in the packet, we only asked for a few of the advertisements for that $5,000. And the reasoning is because we've already have a lot of advertisement placements that we're already gonna be doing. Plus, the reason we chose those ones is because we're looking at doing, they're looking at doing a featured ad for the trolley here in New Mexico Magazine. We've been speaking with Tourism and New Mexico Magazine and a whole bunch of other people to try to get some little features about not just the trolley tours, but all the tours that we have available here in Las Vegas. So we really wanted, when we did this campaign, we came out, we wanted to promote the trolley, but we really wanted to promote Las Vegas because that's what's going to get the people here in order to ride the trolley. So that was our main focus. So what we did is we came up with a campaign called Tour and Explore. Again, like Margot said, it'll be all over digital media. So some examples like this will be some of our Twitter posts, as you can see. There's a couple of them here. And there'll be something like the outdoor adventures there that kind of gives a brief explanation of, you know, Fort Union, surrounding areas, and things also in Las Vegas. These are the ones that we're trying to get in there so we reach outside the 60-mile radius. We have some more specific to locals, but this is the one we're trying to reach outside, and outside New Mexico as much as we can. That one down there at the bottom is a little more general of what we would be doing. The same thing with the Facebook. These would be the Facebook. The one at the bottom will show you more or less what the cover photos would look like for whoever else wants to also participate in this campaign. We've been talking to a lot of the schools and nonprofits, so we're willing to incorporate a lot of that information too as well. As much as we can market Las Vegas to get them here to ride that trolley is our goal. So those are some of the main ones. You'll see Instagram and Linktree. We don't have samples of the Instagram yet, but I just wanted to put it there so you guys could see. Linktree is basically where we put all of our website, social media, anything we have is all through that. That's why they call it Linktree. Again, more advertisement. This is what some of the flyers, some of the posters will look like. And one of the main things is the QR code. So we use the QR code. When I started at Highlands back in like 2004, 2007, like that. Anyways, we started with QR codes, and my instructor by the end of the semester put it on a headstone and said, now the QR code is dead. So it's interesting that now I'm completely dealing with the QR code. So anyways, we create these QR codes that are specific to what we're going to do. For example, this one is the trolley tours. So it leads us to the website where we
COVID certainly brought the QR code back, so I might have agreed with her until COVID showed up, but go ahead, sir.
Thank you, COVID. But so this will give us all the analytics of everything we want to know, from age ranges that are going there, what pages, everything will be in there. The other thing is that not only will we have it, we'll have a separate QR code. Actually, this isn't going to be on the advertisement. The QR code we're going to have is going to have the Tour and Explore in the middle rather than the thing, and where it's going to link to a specific Tour and Explore program page so that we have those analytics that are separate from the trolley website itself.
Well, I mean, look, you've done this before, but how do we? My main question is going to be procurement, right? I mean, you've been with the city So is this LSC, is this a nonprofit or is this a for-profit
No, it's a for-profit.
tour? Yeah,
But what,
so how,
I know we recognize that too. We also recognize that there's a lot of for-profits that were coming in, so that's why we said, however,
yeah, forgive me, I should have, because I noticed the LSC on the prior for the app, so the same
Yeah,
question would stand.
but the thing is that if we have a problem with that, it's not a problem for us because we also have the Junior Chamber of Commerce. We can totally run this under the Junior Chamber of Commerce, no problem at all.
And we also work.
As long as we're good through
Yeah.
procurement, so
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah,
you know,
so
I'm just following the rules, is that, look, it can't be for an individual entity,
Mm-hmm.
so it'd be a group. So if somebody contracts out with look, we've been trying to do a trolley for a long time, right? The city has been trying to do it for our entity, sometime we were trying to get some entity, it looks like you guys took the initiative to go get a trolley and get this done, so, I mean, kudos, to you guys. Now, how would lodger's tax help you do this? I mean, the only issue that would be going, I know you could do this, because you've done this with the city, so I know you could give us the reports, and not, the main issue that would go in my head was how would we do this with procurement with a for entity? I mean, for an individual entity.
I looked at the lodger's tax and I don't see any of the updates that says specifically in that. But if it does, like I said, we can totally run this under the Junior Chamber of Commerce instead. Even if we have to redo the application to have because they are a nonprofit organization. We can totally do that program under them rather than doing it under the.
It's certainly something we should explore.
It's
and maybe
just
go
something-
through finance. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
look, I think for the trolley idea and some of these, this is yet something that can be used town-wise if we can figure out, I mean, as far as lodger's tax concerned, that would be my excuse, but if we
So
can figure out a way.
We covered that because we also have an association with, an agreement with the Center for Southwest Culture, who's been, it's in Albuquerque and it's been around for 1,000,000 years and it has 32 years to be in fact. And it has projects which we are a project under. So we can either go JC's or we can go with that. It's a nonprofit. So we're
Yeah.
covered on that basis.
We're covered either way. Our main goal is just to get a campaign out that is that's promoting Las Vegas in every and any way we can. And like I say, we're gonna be putting most of it in. We're gonna provide the design services. We're actually working with students. You know, we're gonna provide the additional placements. Like I said, that was just a small leftover piece that we wanted to put in addition to everything else we were getting, just to amp up the whole campaign that we're putting out.
It's impressive to me. Just when it goes to council, I'm sure they'll have the same question. If we can just clarify procurement, I mean, that's then and then if it needs to be done in a different way, or if the city is the entity that's procuring your services and it's procured in the right way, and lodger's tax can be used correctly. But that would be my primary question, and what my idea would be what to say to council is this clear or not? And so then we direct staff and so on. But to me, it looks like a great project. I know we've been do this for a long time. If we can do this in the proper way, I don't see why this is something that couldn't be marketed other than the structure. That's the same for the LLC again. If it's owned by the public, I see it as fair game. But when it's directly to an individual entity, we run into problems. So I was
out
of my ballpark. You're probably more versed than I am. But as far as long as that's cleared, then I wouldn't have issues with the depth that you're going into. And the reports that you can provide. I'm glad that something's happening on that front. I mean, somebody took the initiative.
That when you send out these applications, that it says that it is for nonprofits, not.
Well,
just
it
left
used to be that the staff would maintain the applications, and so if they were a certain thing, they would let them know that it couldn't be.
You clarified on the application?
Yeah, and I didn't know if it had changed or what, because I noticed a lot of them were just coming forward with no, like.
I don't know what should go there.
And
we try to meet with the council and the mayor and the city manager.
I think we had some
How it works,
others,
so we
but
thought our next
my
step
mistake on the
would be
prior
here.
one, but up until these two, but
Yeah.
I didn't bring up the the LLC for the prior presentation, so that was a mistake, but it's something that we do have to look at, and certainly council will look at if we miss it at this level.
Yeah, definitely, and we have, like I said, we have plenty of ways to work around that, to make sure we get this done.
Chair, we will be able to allow these entities to modify the application to show the entity that's nonprofit.
Yeah, I mean, I would see if we can clear some of these up and get something done
By next
before next week and still have it on there, but that would be my big thing, so I'm hoping you can work with the city and Montana and
If Montana
Leo,
lets
and
us.
if that clears up.
Montana's doing good about it.
But as far as the rest of the presentation, that's what,
That's great.
I didn't wanna stop you short, but that was my primary concern.
No.
Look, again, we're Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. The council approves this, so I'm just saying stuff that's gonna help you, or, you know.
No, and we were well aware
and
of
then
that,
the
like I
council,
said,
yeah.
we just seen that process, so if it would have been that, we would have brought it in as the J.C.'s rather, so.
Rather,
Yeah.
okay.
Good.
Okay, just to give like a fair thing too, so anyone that's with even a nonprofit, they have to be registered with the state as a nonprofit, and they have to be registered with the city as a nonprofit.
And we have our state registration and we have our business license. We're current on everything. So.
Yeah, so just for everyone to know that any nonprofit, they have to be state registered and city registered as a nonprofit to be considered a nonprofit. Just so that everybody's aware of that part.
Okay, so we can get our paperwork to you this week?
You would have to get it back to me before Friday, because the meeting is next week, Tuesday, for the approvals. I send out the agendas, the completed packets by Friday to the board members. So yeah, as long as I get it in before Friday.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys, thank you.
Okay, moving on to presentation of Hispano Chamber of Commerce Welcome Home Veterans event in the amount of $4,800.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, guests here today. My name is Manuel Martinez. I am the president of the Las Vegas Hispano Chamber of Commerce. Founded in 2016, I am a nonprofit organization. I learned something new from Montana that I have to register with you people. And I'm registered with the County of San Miguel. I'm registered with the State of New Mexico. Our chamber has existed since 2016. We don't have hours. As long as I'm open, even if it's Saturday or Sunday, I still tour people around town and show them what's up. So we enjoy being part of Las Vegas, New Mexico. I enjoy my city very much. I'm here today in reference to asking for financial help for advertisement and an event that was held before the COVID came in, for the wildfires. It was a very short notice. It was very well attended. I did a welcome home Vietnam party for the Vietnam veterans. I am not a veteran, I am just a regular citizen that believes in democracy and believes in the flag of the United States. If you go by my building, usually there might be a little flag because the wind takes the big ones away, but I am very fond of our country. I love our country and I love our freedom. The year that we held, the only year that we held it, the day was a little awkward because I held it 9/11, which the rest of the story goes with it. I will show you something real quick. This structure was, we had people come from as far as on a short 1 month notice. We had people come from Dallas, Houston, Missouri to the event. Veterans are very united people. A couple of brothers made this tractor possible for everybody that could see. It has all the decor from the Vietnam War. This stood in front of Big R for a couple of days. And we started the dedication here in Las Vegas. The day of the event, I took the governor as a real personal friend of mine at the time, and I gave her a 2-day notice to come to say a speech to the veterans. She said, at least give me 24 hours. But the body of the state of New Mexico was very well attended. A lot of commanders were here. We held it at their memorial park. They helped me out very much. This year, what I would like to do, I would like to make it an all veterans event for everybody that served in the armed forces. We still have the people that served in different conflicts all the way from the Korean War, 90 years old. Hopefully they'll be with us another few years, but I would like to give them a nice, good party. The party that was held that year was pretty much funded by me and our organization and our members. And we had guest speakers, different dignitaries. The one from the city that was there was David Ulibarri. So to go on with what I'm asking for is advertisement money, because we have a lot of veterans that live in and around northern New Mexico, in Albuquerque, and southern Colorado. Thousands and thousands of them. The event we held was attended by approximately 300 people at the time. I am requesting $4,117.28 strictly for advertisement. I have had corporations already committed to helping me with food. Not from Las Vegas, from Albuquerque, because they believe Las Vegas is a big draw of money to them every year. They helped me out with other things, such like we gave away water last year, and they helped me, and I touched base with the general managers, and they said they're ready to help us out again. As far as trash pickup, I would like the city of Las Vegas to pitch in and help us with the trash pickup. Traffic control, see if the city would help us out. The sheriff's department is more than willing to do it. Advertisement will be done by radio stations, by the veterans service organizations, and by local media. We have, from past experience, found out that there was people that traveled from out of state, from Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, to the event that was held a few years back. I have had input from some of the folks that are still alive that they said we will attend. We did change the date to 9/9 this year. the attendees that come to the Las Vegas area from different parts of Las Vegas and other places of other states, not only room here, but spend money in restaurants, souvenirs, and other things. So that's sales tax money that's going to all of us to better our community. My calculated figures are about 65% of the people are gonna be from the Las Vegas, from the Santa Fe and interstate area. The rest will probably come from other parts of the country, especially from southern Colorado. Because a lot of our younger crowd doesn't know this, but there is a lot of people that live in Pueblo, Colorado Springs, that migrated for jobs from Las Vegas in the 40s and 50s. And they still have a lot of draw to come back to Las Vegas. You see it at the 4th of July fiestas. They say, how many people from Colorado? And it's almost evenly yelling because they were from here at one point in time. The audience could go from 30, 40, 50, up to 80, 90 years old. Plus, they bring their family members with them. They'll bring their primos, they'll bring their kids, their grandkids, and all to an event such as this. I have been very tight with Angel Fire up there with those people. They were really happy of an individual coming out to do such an event for the people, being that I wasn't a soldier, but I honor my flag. We are here to ask for some assistance on advertising, and I will personally go out to gather from my members money, because they're always willing to give for events like this. I've been very fortunate to be involved with some real big businesses that left Las Vegas at one point and made it big in other parts of the state that are real tight to Las Vegas area and still from here. They still own ranches and they talk about Las Vegas when I stop by their businesses. So much in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. So that is my presentation for today. I hope that you consider looking at the proposal and looking at the monies that we're asking for. I think are very reasonable to get to the audience that the media does not, the social media does not get to. And that's all I could say. If any questions, I'm here to answer. Yes, ma'am.
Well, the radio has a radius, but you're not gonna use any other form of advertisement, just strictly radio?
I just finished indicating that,
I heard that, but
the
what you're asking me here,
okay.
all I just see is radio, radio, radio. I mean, are you gonna use?
Well, we're gonna have the different members of the different forces are gonna advertise through their social media and their meetings. They have monthly meetings throughout the state of New Mexico and other places in the United States. So they will be advertising that the event is gonna take place. The event does take place at the Memorial Park. I was very fortunate, the first and only time I had it, they cooperated very highly. They prepared the park, they prepared the PA system for us. And all I was pretty much in charge of organizing it, and I had a local business put out pizzas, soft drinks, and they enjoyed visiting with each other. Some of these soldiers hadn't seen each other in 10, 15, 20 years. And they were really very, very happy. I still get thanked downtown. And I say, don't thank me. Let me thank you for my freedom. And I know you guys have a tough job, because I was in your position in the 1980s. I was part of the board for a few years. I was part of the tax advisory board, so I know you guys have a tough decisions to make. But I greatly appreciate your attention, and if any other questions, I'm here to answer.
Any other discussion, questions? All right, thank you for presenting.
Thank you very much. And Montana, I will get together with you by Friday and get a certificate for nonprofit in the city of Las Vegas.
To Maria Perea for that one.
Oh, Maria Perea?
She's the one that will.
Because I'm the,
Community development at least, because even Bursa is helping with the business.
yeah, I'm legitimately with the state and the county, but now, I didn't know I had to have one with the city, but we learn something every day, don't we? Thank you for your attention. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so, Montana, I mean, just on that note, if there is any other, and if we miss one, that would immediately, as far as procurement wise, immediately disqualify them. It wouldn't make any sense for us to put it on the agenda next week for approval, disapproval, if our approval wouldn't qualify anyways because of said issues. So to me, they would have to be cleared up before it even goes to approval, disapproval by us, because we don't want to be sitting there just stating the obvious when we wouldn't be able to prove it because of a reason for procurement.
So we did, I did speak with Dominic. He was the one I did ask about the finance part about the nonprofit. I know he reached out to one of the individuals that the city uses. On one of the applications that was for profit, of course, they did tell us that for-profit can't apply for lodger's tax. We did explain with one of the applications we showed them. It got to where they did respond that they weren't able to answer a question because it wasn't their, I guess, specialty. So they couldn't ask whether or not that application was able to get lodger's tax. So it is, I know with that, there's a lot of information we have to, and it's kind of been difficult to get somebody that knows full-blown every single rule in and out, because I mean, a lot of the handbook itself is very broad on what you can do, and then it leaves it up to every individual government agency they have to follow the handbook, but then it's up to their own ordinances to follow, and we follow, I mean, the city charter, our ordinance follows state statute. They're still very broad. There's not specific things there's certain things, so we do need to weed out some stuff. But that has been a discussion that we have looked into about the applications. So once we get more information, we could bring it to you guys. It's just, right now, it's kind of getting the information that we need to bring to you guys.
Okay. May I say one more thing before I leave?
Mm-hmm.
All the money and any money that's given for this purpose, every penny will be used for that purpose. There will be no balance. It'll be zero balance. We have other thoughts of getting scholarship funds going and other things, but that's totally not for this specific reason. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so if we can have some clarification for it, because I just don't want to send it up to council and we don't have, because look, they've got their hands full too. So we'd like to do some of the legwork before it goes up to council, because they'll have the same questions. And so if we want to get some of these going on some of these things in funding, we want to set them up the best way. So if we get some answers, but if there's ambiguity or if it's clearly we can't, I would rather that we provide that feedback to the applicant and we approve or disapprove what we can.
And that's kind of the reason. It's just because of the answer that I got, that me and Dominic got. The answer that we got, we can't necessarily pull it. That's why it's kind of leaving it up to you guys for you guys to kind of decide. Because ultimately, it's your recommendation to council. So we had to bring all that. I mean, it's just with the information I got, we couldn't necessarily just say no. That's kind of the issue we got stuck with of like for-profit applications.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on, if not, we will move on to the next event. We are at
Number 7.
presentation of Las Vegas First IBA, southbound I-25 billboards in the amount of $14,821. Can I make the assumption that you're presenting for 7 through 9?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. I'm Meredith Britt and with Las Vegas First, serving as the vice president. John Goodwin generally would come to present about the billboards, but he can't be here and he'll be here next week. I don't remember which one is number 7, but I can present them one at a time. You say the I-25 billboards?
The southbound.
On number 7, we're talking about, southbound I-25 for the amount of $14,821.
The private boards. That actually includes 3 boards. One on I-25 north of town at exit 347, that's a southbound. And these are continuation of existing billboards. I know that you're pretty familiar with these billboards already. And so the I-25 southbound at 347 is a lit billboard. There's a billboard at Story Lake on 518 southbound on the right side. And to replace those vinyls is contingent on city requests for a total of $14,820. Should I go to the next set of billboards?
So these are pretty, I mean, they're all contracts for, so it looks like, and we're looking for I-25, for I-40, right? And so you have 2 on I-25 and then 1 I-40, correct?
The ones I was just telling you about, one on I-25 and one on 518.
Or 2 contracts, I'm sorry.
There's 3 contracts. There's the Lamar billboards on I-25. There are 3 of those.
That's both in south?
Yeah.
Okay.
Northbound. It's hard to read John's writing. The Lamar billboards there are 3 of them. And the I-40 billboards, there are 2. One is east of Santa Rosa, westbound, and one is west of the Highway 84 exit, eastbound. And we have included some images for new billboards for fiestas to the city manager. And if you have any questions, I might be clearer for you.
So all of these are renewal of existing contracts that you
Yes.
have, there's no additions, they're just continuations of what we've already been paying for?
Yes, and the I-40 boards, if you agree to the contract, it'll be the third year, and the agreement was, if it was for 3 years, the ability to change the vinyls would be included. And if not, if you don't renew the I-40 boards, there would be a fee of $2,805 because it wasn't extended for a third year.
On,
Go ahead.
on that one, the 3-year contract,
Yeah,
you say that if we agree to that, they will change the new vinyl, is that correct?
there has been one change of vinyls for both boards. There's been the ability all along to change it one time, and I believe they have not been changed. So there's still the.
This is our last year to request new vinyl, basically, right? For the cost of, if we renew it one more time. So this is our third year of the 3 years, you're saying?
Yeah,
And then within that 3 year, the agreement was that we could replace the vinyl once.
yeah, and it hasn't been done, so it can be.
So will we get new signage, the stuff that's going on it?
That
Or
would,
will it be the same with just a reprint of whatever
no, it would be whatever you want, it's up to
the
the
design
city.
is what I'm saying, yeah.
We submitted some designs for Fiestas, but it's up to the city whether you take those or create another one,
Who's designing them?
I did.
You did. So if we decide we will go this route, we could either do the one for the Fiestas.
Yeah.
Or we could do another one that will be all year round, that will have signage for whatever we did all year round, rather than just that one
Right,
event.
or you could maybe have Fiestas and other things, if, as long as it's clearly visible when you're going 75 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, those are the main concerns,
Well, big and bold.
And is that lit?
The I-40,
Yes, the one we're talking about.
well, there's
The
2
3-year.
on 40, one coming toward Highway 84 from each direction, and
Okay.
they are not lit.
They're not lit.
Yes, they are, I'm sorry, they both are.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
I guess I'm just trying to catch up with billboards, if you don't mind. So the first number 7 item for 14,821, is that, in other words, does that include everything having to do with the billboards up to that point? In other words, the rental and the vinyls, if we get vinyls?
So yeah, so this is what we need to clear up. So are all 3 of these, were they all 3-year agreements or just the one?
The I-40.
I mean, let me clarify. I mean, because it's done 3 of it, but if we did the third year, is it the vinyl changes is that all 3 or just one of those contracts?
That's just one, the I-40.
The
billboards.
I-40 one. Okay, so not the I-25 one where so just the I-40.
Replacement for those is contingent on city requests. There's a cost for replacing them of $1,000 per replacement.
Okay.
And
So in that 14,821 is just renewal of
Contract.
of the contract and not necessarily a change in vinyl then, right?
that
As
does
far as that
include the
25.
vinyl cost.
That does include the vinyl cost. Okay,
It's right there.
let's scroll down.
That's a 1,300 times 6.
The times 6 would be the possibility of 3 replacements or 3 vinyls each for the 2 billboards. So that's the 6.
Okay.
So is there any overhead that Las Vegas First has to do all this work?
You mean, do we have the money to be reimbursed after?
No, I'm saying, since you guys have to do all this work, so you're renting the billboard, you're sort of coordinating the vinyl. So does the organization have any administrative work that goes along with just the 14,820?
You mean, do we get paid for any of this?
Yeah,
I wish.
so that's not included at all.
Right. This is just to these owners of these billboards.
So you guys are just like sort of passing the check right through,
Right, it's a
but-
pass-through.
but you don't get any administration to at least assist in getting all this stuff coordinated.
We don't, Matt.
Okay, I just wanted to know, because the chamber did it 100 years ago when I was there. We did it all, and I don't remember how we used to get the vinyls designed. We didn't have you then. But for some reason, we got it done, and I just wanted to know. And then I guess if we look at each one of these, what's the total number of billboards altogether?
7.
7?
2 on I-40, the 2 privately owned, that's 2 different private owners. You know, one up by Story Lake and one just north of town coming into town. And then the 3 that belong to Lamar Advertising that are on I-25.
Who's
One
this?
is just south of Raton, one is south of Wagon Mound, and one is northbound kind of at,
Romeroville?
Melville.
Who's the Sun Company? What was that?
That should be I-40.
That's the I-40?
That should be the Sun one, should be, I believe, is I-40.
Okay. So the
So-
Lamars are these ones, the Sun is the ones on I-40?
So right now, the city has 2 contracts with Las Vegas First for billboards. The 2 we have is the one for 18,000 on, so the 3 Lamar billboards. We have that contract with Las Vegas First, and we have the I-40 one with Las Vegas First. You guys did not, the board did not renew the privately owned billboards last year. What John told me was he resubmitted these applications because I guess if we do not renew it, we will lose, or they will lose the contract completely with them on the 2 private ones. That's why he resubmitted it to see if you guys would do it because we are at risk of losing them.
Okay, I seen the one on that Story Lake. It's been there for a while. We funded that one back then.
Yeah.
Which is the other private one? Who owns that one? What company owns that, or
I'm not too sure.
on
who owns-
I-25? She said it was north of Las Vegas.
John didn't write that down.
We could find out with John. I'm not too sure who
Okay.
owns the
I
other
think I
one.
seen that one too. I just didn't know it was private.
Yeah, so there's the 2 private, those ones right now, we do not have a current contract with them because you guys did not, the board did not renew that
Right.
contract.
And in the packet, I didn't see any price, so I mean, it's just Lamar that I see, right? So for the individual
Well, that
contracts,
Sun one's in here too.
that Sun one.
I can't make out the numbers because they're really light.
Yeah, that's the one that I had to shrink down.
Yeah, what is the number?
pass this
Well,
one
just tell us what it is. You don't have to show it. We believe you.
Right now, the production cost that I see is 1402.38, so 1,400 for production cost. Monthly lease amount due is 550.16 cents, so that's what the community development is getting invoiced monthly.
Okay. So that's the 15,993?
15993 is the I-40.
Yeah,
40?
that should be this one, I believe it was.
So then it's the 18,132?
18,132 is gonna be the 3 Lamar ones.
That's Lamar.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
and
the
the I-40 is
18,000.
Sun.
I-40 is Sun, and that's the $15,993.
So the 14,821 is the private,
The
two private
14
ones.
one, yes, are the 2 private ones.
Okay, I just wanted to sort of feel, I just
Yeah.
know one thing, Mr. Chair. I know that, we have to get these billboards, 3-year contracts, whatever we'll end up having with some of these entities like Lamar and stuff like that, you have to do them. But I just don't understand the free labor, the free administration. And it doesn't have to be an incredible amount, but somebody still has to coordinate that. That's still work. And in your case, Meredith, you're doing the artwork, right?
If the city accepts it.
Yeah, but in the past you have?
Images.
Have you done some before in the past?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that's part of, you give them the burden and then you say, well, you have to do all that for free.
So what happens is the city should be the ones contacting John Goodwin and be like, okay, we want to do the vinyl replacement. If they wanna keep the same image that's there, they can, and just get it with the updated, like a cleaner version. If they could do the whole complete vinyl change, the city would be like, okay, I want this image on my billboard. They would submit it to John. John would give it to the company. As of right now, that didn't happen. I know what John told me was that he did submit Leo some, I guess, like a sample of what a change could, one of the vinyl changes could be. Leo has to approve it. I'm not sure if he's looked at it yet. I can talk to him about it. But he's been gone, so he just came back today. So I was gonna talk to him when he got back. But that's kind of where it is. So it's, I mean, I know they gave him samples of what a vinyl change of, maybe doing it. But he has to approve it because it's the city that will go to John and tell him, okay, we want the vinyl changes, we want this to, as the vinyl change.
Okay, I guess just to catch up, Mr. Chair, if somebody's doing the vinyl designs and all that stuff, that's still cost.
So for
I think you can have the vinyl company do it to some degree, but if we really want to get into some creative, detailed stuff for our local community,
so
we probably need
if we
that.
wanted to get something designed really well, like and again, it needs to be well read and so on. But if it's something that we wanted to be intricately designed, then okay, said monies for a design person, we could say, hey, so many hours for so. But again, here's my main concern with billboards. I don't want to get too far away from that. This is an awful lot of billboards. And some of the things in the prior years is like, this is an awful lot of billboards. What can we do with the most impact with the most traffic? So I-40 and I-25 made the same sense. I think council had some of the same concerns. So what can we do with the same impact? Now, that said, what message would we like? So if we need to hire a design firm, but again, the sponsoring entity is Las Vegas First. For the bill, say for example, my hotels, the design for those billboards was by the Lamar, by the thing, and they did it for free. I just need to make sure that it's relevant and legible.
Yeah.
And make it go. So it doesn't need to be anything extraordinary, but if we wanted something that a little bit better, then yeah, I could see us including design services, only so many hours, as long as the majority of the funding is for the ad itself. Yeah. Where we got in trouble in the past was we had so much administrative overhead, it was more than the advertisement in the first place. So if we have something that's good and we're gonna continue on, but I think I'm just anticipating for the council questions is, what are we trying to say, right? We've said it where, do we need to see it everywhere? Do we need to continue this on in perpetuity, or should we have the most impactful places? And should we always be having the same message? I don't think we should keep changing the vinyl, but maybe there's a chance here where, because right now, maybe we're focusing on Shop Las Vegas. Do they all have to be Shop Las Vegas? How do we do an advertisement for the whole? A billboard is advertising the town. So if we have a better message, let's do it. It doesn't, there is some framework on what we can put that's called New Mexico True. So if we need help with some of the design elements, well, following New Mexico True could help us in that fashion. We don't need to reinvent the wheel as far as the state marketing goes. But I think we need to get on the same page of what we'd like him to say and whether or not is efficient enough to have all these individual billboards in all these areas. Is that something we want to continue to fund?
And then we also have, Mr. Chair, we have to consider that Sunny 505 is going to be doing some promotion and doing that kind of stuff for us. So we may want to have a tied together message, all along, all the way through. When do these agreements come up, Meredith? Are they due like July 1st? When does it come up?
These private boards have expired and they've been allowing the current
Message to stay on.
page
And the other two?
for free.
Those are yearly contracts with the city, so the contract with Las Vegas First ends June 30th.
Okay, so the ones for the Lamar and the Sun.
Yeah.
They will expire on the 30th
As
of June
well.
this year. Yeah,
Okay.
they are only for the the fiscal year.
So if I can, Mr. Chair, Montana, can I ask when Sunny 505 is gonna start? Or that?
I'm not too sure. That would be a Leo question, yeah, because I'm not too sure. I know that they've been working, but I'm not too sure when anything's coming out. I'm not too sure the process of where they are.
I think you're sort of following where I'm going, Mr. Chair. It depends what the message is, you know, what we're doing.
It
Looks like
definitely
we're
is.
gonna enable 2 more boards.
Year after year, we hit against like the same deadline. Year after year, it's, okay, we gotta get these renewed. Even though that's a 3-year thing, I don't think that's how the city is working. The city is approving year by year. So then you run into situations, well, if you disapproved 1 year, you might be in violation of a contract that's 3 years. So I would say that before signing off, that the city doesn't sign off on 3-year contracts that are approved year by year. I think that's probably a big problem to sign up in the first place, but it might be something that we've talked about before and now we're just trying to get through the end of. But I would say that needs to be clarified, that the city needs to be in a position of, and if that's not possible, then we don't enter into 3-year contracts.
Well, the I-40 boards are the only one that are the 3-year contract, or they're the, not a 3-year contract, but if we keep the contract for 3 years, and this would be the 3rd time, then the vinyls are free.
Okay, so that within the contract, there isn't any, other than losing your chance at a vinyl, there isn't any stipulation as far as we need to stick with 3 years. They all have been annual contracts.
Except the I-40, if we don't go with it for a 3rd year, we have to pay for the vinyls, even though they haven't been changed.
Okay.
And that is probably something that John Goodwin did explain on when they first got approved, when they came to the board, because I believe it was over when we were dealing with COVID. We could probably look back to see what his presentation was for the I-40 ones, because I'm pretty sure he probably gave that same presentation, that it would be, to get the pricing, it would be for 3 years. We would have to look back at, we would have to look back at those videos to see what his presentation was and what the board agreed to.
Okay.
So we'll have to look back on that one.
You'll be here next week then.
Is there any way, I mean, it's not in the packet, but if that can be inserted for next week, just the images that are on each one of the billboards right now?
Did you not get the images?
Did I
I don't
miss
think
it?
so.
I don't know what you got.
I don't see it. No, just the proposal.
Just the contracts, I think.
Do you want me to just hand you these right now?
Sure.
They're basically this old postcard that has been, the wording has been, changed or added to be relevant. And the I-40 are those tall, almost square ones, and these are the Lamar. And I think we've got the size of the private ones too. Ten by 40, so they're the same size as the Lamar. One of the private ones is 10 by 30. You can keep those.
So this this one's on US 84. Right? It's like-
The big square one is on 40.
Yeah.
Approaching 84.
Approaching 84, okay. Okay. And that's a Lamar board, okay. And this one is on 345. And
Let me see that one.
and then these two,
The 2 private boards, one of them is the same size as that long one, and one of them is 10 feet shorter. And they just adapt the image, I'm not sure.
We've seen that.
you see that? Okay.
Now, actually, the one by Story Lake might be the one that's been up for quite a while, of the castle, with a young woman sitting on
On a bench or something.
We see that.
That one's been there longer than these others,
Okay.
so.
That's a relic from back when I was there.
And those 2 images you don't have for the other ones?
I didn't think to bring them, they've been submitted to city manager.
They've been submitted, okay, okay.
And they had the Fiesta dates.
And was there already suggestions on
That had been
what wanted to
requested.
be changed?
Well, that had been requested by the city manager to have a Fiesta theme, so that was all we came up with, on the spur of the moment, but, and the city can have their own people design too. I know Virginia has designed billboards in the past when she was with the city, so that's, all the options are yours.
Sure.
We're just the pass-through for the, logistics.
May
Okay.
I ask a question, Chairman?
Yeah.
You said Lamar designs or does yours for, you submit some of the images or whatever, and they do yours?
Yep.
Now, are the prices about the same?
As far as the vinyl costs and stuff, they look in line. Some of the I believe they're saving some money by getting more than one.
Yeah.
So they are getting, but the longer you continue, this is my experience with billboards. The longer you keep it, they buy what they say is that their costs increase. So every year and this is my experience. Every year you renew, they up it by 10% every year. Some of the years I've been able to renegotiate differently, but if you get them in more than one, you may get a better price. But as far as a package deal, yeah. Okay. But as far as the design of the vinyl, I've always worked with Lamar to get that. But look, if we wanted something more, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do it. Again, it's the one-time design. It's not an electronic board. We don't want to keep changing it.
Mhm.
So I just suggest that we be in the same page and that these costs are not low. I just want to make sure that we're in the most effective places. So if we're not, if we already have the presentation of billboards on there, to me, I say let's have a good effective method, and maybe we're not hitting all of these boards. Maybe you were putting it in a different scenario, or we brainstorm and put billboards in other places. Maybe reach further down to Albuquerque and so on. Just because we're doing it and we want to continue doing it is probably not the answer. We need to say, hey, has this been affected? Do we think it's effective, or do we just keep renewing contracts as is? So. To me, if we're keeping some of these, there needs to be more of a representation of why. Some of these are self-explanatory. I-40, huge count, right? Some of the areas for I-25, huge count. I-40s, but some of the other ones, I have a tough time saying, hey, is this the visibility that we're getting? Is this working for us? Or I-25, I-40, let's call it a day. That's a type of discussion that I anticipate that the council would have as well. I know we've had this before. What if we have the heavy investments? And look, even for my business and so on, there's been a steady decline in us doing billboard advertisements in the first place. So whether it has to be impactful. Because the rest of the time, I'm gonna bring it back, is the phone. And so many people, especially as you're younger, you're driving by. If it's not the driver, the rest of the people in their car are in their phones as you drive by the freeway. Okay, so maybe it would be
to music, Mr. Chair. What's wrong with you?
chair, so on. So maybe we're better off that we push. Look, yes, the money's there, but we also have to push. Like, hey, what if we sent this into mobile advertising as well, or so on? We need to have that push, especially from Las Vegas First or any of our entities. That hey, let's think differently. Yes, we've already got these billboards, but what can we do? Let's get creative. And what can we do for to advertise in different ways? I'm going to continue that push.
Mr. Chair, I just want to point out one thing. I was at the Love Field Airport not too long ago. Actually, 2 times I was on the way to a trip. And I saw the New Mexico
True. Yeah.
All Albuquerque pictures. Every single one of them.
All through the New Mexico True program
Yeah.
with images and again,
I didn't see any of ours or
Of
any other
Las
towns or, you know, Santa Fe or Gallup, Las Cruces or anywhere else. All Albuquerque, Tramway, their plaza. It was interesting, but I really see that it's making a big impact for selected stuff.
Where was I? I mean, even, I don't know, I think I was well out into the thing and you're just riding the escalator down and you see the images. So that's really impactful, right? When you're hitting an airport or so on. But those are some of the ideas that, I mean, maybe that's where we could send funding to instead of hitting the same spot over and over again. And then a lot of the times, it might not be the worst idea that you lose it, okay? Some of these markets, they reset, okay? They don't renew, and those billboards go empty. And when we go for renewal, those guys are very susceptible to, it's very cyclical.
Yeah.
So it behooves you when you're in a deep recession, those times when there's desperation mode, everybody's pulled back on their marketing, and those are the times to sign good contracts. But we should be thinking outside of the box of just that conversation there is like, look, that's fine. Let's have a budget for billboards, but let's also think about where else it could be.
And
it
Mr.
could be
Chair,
done.
I was talking about the electronic ones inside the airport. They were just changing, they were just all Albuquerque photos, every single one of them.
At one point in time in the past, I know we've gotten something on the Albuquerque airport board
Yeah.
there. I know the New Mexico True campaign has been on those type of airport billboards in several airports, and I think it's really effective. So if we had that
Well, we need to
in
probably
front
make
of
more
us
noise to make sure they get at least one or two photos of our community.
of our community in there,
'Cause it was
make
all
some
them-
noise.
It was all them.
And you're right, yeah, it could be part of an ad buy that we need to do within the New Mexico True. So when that comes up again for our packages, we could say, hey, where's this portion of with the airport billboards, with the billboards? We may not be purchasing that package within that New Mexico True. So that's a good point. Okay. Lots of billboards. Hopefully we can get through the rest. I just want to make sure that total amount of billboards from Lamar is 3 total billboards from Lamar
On I-25.
on I-25.
Mhm.
Okay, and the billboard on I-40 is from who?
Sun.
Sun.
There's 2.
Okay. So those are I-25 and I-40, and so the other areas are all, there's one for also Lamar, and there's also one private, right?
On I-25.
Okay,
And one private on 518.
okay. So
2 different owners.
no other, so would the I-25 be a duplicate of what we're already doing, just a second board? Or is that providing additional coverage, or we're just wanting another board?
You asking about the images?
Yeah, the advertising images of what we want to happen for visitors driving by.
I think in all cases, the image can be changed, but it needs to be, you need to work with the city to know what you want and then to have it approved in time. I think they're only come out once a month, I think, the billboard people, to change the vinyls.
I think he said once every 3 weeks. I think he said it was once every 3 weeks that they come down.
So, Mr. Chair, Montana, can you get us information of the private boards and what's on them?
Oh, there's nothing on the private boards because we don't have a contract with them. This is the contract that they're gonna, because in the past, the city had a contract with Las Vegas First for the 2 private ones. When the board didn't renew that contract, technically Las Vegas First still has it, but there should not be anything on it unless it was the image that was before.
I think they left the image on.
I think it's probably the image that was left before, but right now, we're not paying for it, we're just at risk of losing
I guess
those
what I'm
2.
asking is, can you get us the names, who they are?
I can get to with John,
Yeah,
and
John
I know
would
he's gonna
know.
be here next week too he wasn't able to make it today, but he will be here next week. So we could get that information from him of who are the owners.
Dennis Lujan's family owns one of them, I don't know which one. And I don't know who owns the other one, but John would know.
Okay.
And you might have that in the records somewhere.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the billboards?
Not for me.
That was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zane? All right, moving on.
We're at the Arts Council, number 10.
Yeah. Presentation of Las Vegas Arts Council Summer Show, the amount of 13,368.
Good afternoon. I'm Richard Lindeborg, the current president of the Las Vegas Arts Council. In its present incorporation, our origins are mid-70s, and since the mid-80s, we have been the city's designated organization for arts and humanities in Las Vegas. We are proposing a slightly different format for our proposal this year than has been usual, and I've been glad to see that so many of the presentations today are taking a holistic approach to what they're trying to accomplish across disciplines and across activities. Because what we're looking for this year is some advertising money for our entire summer program, which will include 3 month-long art shows, June, July, and August, and the culminating with the People's Fair, which is our signature event in late August. We're asking for money specifically for advertising in the art supplements of Santa Fe and Albuquerque papers. Our view is that, especially the graphic arts, more than the entertainment arts, that art revenue is more of a process than an event. You look at galleries in Canyon Road or in the Rail District in Santa Fe or some of the other places in Albuquerque. It's not one show that attracts everybody. It's knowing that there is art there at all times that attracts people eventually when they want to come to the area. Maybe they'll see an artist advertise that they want to travel to see that particular artist, but more often they are art people who want to see art. And quite often they're the same people that want to see history. And so they'll go see Fort Union, whether it's what month it is. They don't go there at one time because of some mammoth celebration that the fort might have. Anyway, the other concept we're looking at, and I was glad to hear this discussion about QR codes, because I'm a little bit too old for QR codes, but they point out the difference between what in advertising and public relations we call push media and pull media. And a push media is like a newspaper. You get it and you read it. They push the message at you. You buy an ad somewhere. You buy it on TV and it pushes it out through the TV to everybody. You buy space on social media and it pushes it out to everybody. But the real gold in advertising is pull. So a lot of push media tries to then get you to send in your email or somehow sign up so that you're getting it, you're pulling it towards you at all times. And the QR code is the ultimate of that, because you pay in a publication for this little bitty space, and somebody can click on that and get a whole world can come up to them, a website that has the entire, for example, with these tours that Ms. Perkins was talking about. You click on that QR code somewhere on a postcard or anywhere you find it, or in the magazine. If you see it in Trinidad, in the Rust Stop, you've got a wealth of QR codes in there, and each one of those is a window where once you respond to that push of them wanting you to click, you go in there and it becomes pull from then on, because you know, they know you and you know them, and you've created a friendship. So our proposal for this year is to take the entire art program of the summer and make it into a unitized thing that we would advertise over a 12 to 13 week period in July and August. And people would see those ads weekly. And now that I've heard about C-Art, you know, they were minded, we should put one of those right in the ad, so that you get right into our website for the Arts Council. Now, we represent, as the city's arts agency, we represent in some way what is now in Las Vegas 15 businesses that sell art, 15 galleries or near galleries. An amazing total over pre-COVID days. It just, I wanted to have a show here in Las Vegas 10 years ago, and there was really hardly any place other than the Arts Council to show art. And now there are 15 places. And we have on our website a directory to those 15 places, and we put out a little brochure that has them. So if people come into town and they want to see one art place, they can find out about all the others. And if you can get them to stay here to see 5 historic things and 5 art things, pretty soon they run out of daylight. And they got to stay all night. Because you get them to come here for one thing for 2 hours, 3 hours, they might eat a meal, they might not. They might buy that meal from an out-of-town vendor and not from a local restaurant. Or they might not. But they need to come up here for some dedicated purpose. That they say Las Vegas is a happening place, and we want to be in Las Vegas. Sometime this summer, we'll put it in the calendar, roll up, we can pencil that in for the second week of July or whatever, and show up here. We, in the Arts Council, in my time here, as an adult anyway, have only had one show that brought people, demonstrable people, number of people into town, and that was last year's benefit show, we called it. We headlined that show with 2 members of the famed Highlands art faculty from the 60s and 70s and 80s. The works were donated sometimes by out-of-town people. We advertised out of town, and people knew those names, and they came to town, and they bought those paintings. And for us to sell $8,000 worth of paintings in a single show is phenomenal. We can have a show, and you can't measure your success by how many people actually come, but also by how many people buy. So we would like to run an 1/8 of a page ad. We think the continuity in your advertising is important. We couldn't establish that with the benefit show because we were paying for our own advertising. And well, we placed it on the days we thought we could get some play, but I think by having a series of ads through the summer that would emphasize that we have a lot of galleries here, we would point people specifically, especially during the latter part of the summer, to a show we have planned in August, which is photographic works by a gentleman named Bart Ellison, who was a photographer here for a lot of years and has now, he had to sell out his place due to the fires and moved to Santa Fe, but he donated a whole lot of his really fine photographs from the Four Corners area. And a little bit beyond, if you count Carlsbad or Alamogordo, or rather, White Sands. Anyway, I think his photos advertised in Santa Fe and Albuquerque can bring some people in for that particular show. And of course, the Arts Council, the People's Fair would bring people in, specifically for that event. But over the summer, we would be trying to build interest in all of our 15 galleries here in town. We don't have enough in this budget, which I presented to you for $13,000 and change. There's not enough to buy ads to mention all the galleries by name, but to establish that we have a gallery community in this town that is worth visiting. I'm reminded that a couple of weeks ago, the Pasatiempo magazine in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is their weekly arts and entertainment magazine. They have a similar program in Albuquerque, and both of those publications emphasize the fact that they're not just in the Friday paper, but they sell them. They give them out separately, sell them through merchants all around the area, so that all week long people can get that previous Friday's arts and cultural newspaper. So it gives you a lot more play. And those media are focused on people who want to go to art and cultural events. Whereas if you just go in the main part of the newspaper or on radio, you don't always get only people that are interested in art and culture. You get people that are interested in a whole lot of things. So your density of contact is much greater in an arts and cultural publication. So anyway, we'd like to do that, bring the people in, and see how that works. The concept of having this push and pull concept works the other way too. Here today we had a medium, a magazine, come in pushing to get us to advertise in their magazine. They had some kind of faith that their mission of southern Colorado and northern New Mexico would benefit from extending as far down as us. And when I looked at their product, I was saying, yeah, you know, why should it stop in Colfax County? I mean, here we are. People would like to come from Trinidad, people would like to come from Pueblo to our area. And here we have the media saying, yes, we believe that's true, and we think you would benefit by advertising our way so that people can come down. Now, we don't have that kind of push relationship with Santa Fe or Albuquerque. We don't advertise enough in Santa Fe. We don't have enough of a program. They don't even think of us. The Santa Fe calendar in the newspaper on Friday has, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, and out of town. Not a very big section, but the out of town that's out of town is never us. Because we don't have that kind of a relationship, and we haven't built that kind of a profile where people are saying, well, so why should they put Madrid in there? It's always Taos. It's always somebody else. It's not us. But we have as much to offer more than some of these places that they do cover. And the same with Albuquerque. They put out the same kind of publication, you know, a 30-page magazine that goes out and stays in hotels and places all week long. And I think we can crack that market a little bit if we can get people like the kind of campaign that the Historic Preservation Group outlined. They want a long-term project to do their Historic Preservation Week and their other programs. If we get that kind of around the calendar kind of exposure in the media outside of our area, I think we can get more attraction in here. Thank you.
Commissioner Chair. First, so I mean, you had an addendum to it for the 10,000. So is it safe to say that this is two events, two advertising?
I don't
two types.
That's not fair.
Okay.
If we cut it down to 1 month to get down below a certain limit, which I was kind of asked to do an addendum that would get us down a little bit in number wise. Then we wind up advertising only the August show and the People's Fair. Come up during August and see these two things happening in Las Vegas, and we would plug the other galleries. And at the same time see these other art galleries in Las Vegas.
What we've done in the past for like seasons where when we considered it each one kind of its own event. So what we said is, hey, we're the way that we're setting it off is 5,000 per, and then it's an entire campaign for the summer or the spring or so on. And that's why I asked, and I'm not sure if that was meant. That's why you came back with the 10.
That's why we say we come back we're here with a new approach.
Okay.
Because we'd heard that this organization was going to hear at least 2 proposals that were up in the mid-teens.
Okay.
And that has proven true. We've heard that happening. And we only the city is interested in a long-term proposal with the marketing firm, and the combination of agencies here in town are wanting a different combination of people with a big project. And we think that kind of holistic approach to marketing Las Vegas is sustainable and a better approach. Because yes, we can put ads maybe 3 weeks before
But
people's
it's,
there
yeah,
and build for that group of people, or we can try to build the long-term sustainability of the entire arts community in here.
yeah, the continuous promotion of arts, of all of the above, of each group that's come forward today is the year-round promotion of, and then what we can do to supplement that.
Yeah, that's a good approach. One thing that really worried us last year, evidently the contracts have started having a statement in them that if you cancel your event, you have to pay back the money.
Even in the event of COVID, they were
And that does
making
not
use of
work
it.
too well in our current environment.
Yeah.
I mean, because advertising has to be bought ahead.
Right.
And the city parks were closed right at the 1st of August, I believe, the first week of August. And so the event goes down the tubes. The only thing that saved us from having to pay back that entire amount of advertising money is the city couldn't get the contract out in time for the event anyway. So the money didn't come.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would have been on the hook for, as you say, it's a reimbursement program.
Right.
And if you spend the money
and then you don't have the event,
don't have
that's
the
a
event, and
tough
it's not your
situation.
fault. Wow.
Mr. Chair, Montana, maybe you can help. What did they get before?
I can't remember off the top of my head. We would have to double check with the previous agendas. I wanna say, I believe Susie stayed within the 5. I know with the last one that we did, she stayed within the 5,000 perimeter, and I think if I'm not mistaken, she broke it up into the.
She may have broken it, but was it for this specifically though?
I know it was for the People's Fair. I know
Yeah.
that one we had. I know there was a spring. The last one we had from her was the spring something show. I don't know if it was a spring art show or something. There was a spring one that she did, and she stayed. I think that one was like 3 or 4. But we would have to look at the previous applications that they submitted, because I know she submitted for the People's Fair. Summer art show, I can't remember if that was the one specifically, but I would double check.
5,000.
Yeah, so I know usually she would always stick within the 5,000, and then she would be the one too, like if the summer art show, crafts fair, I mean, she would broke it up into 2 separate events, because technically speaking, they're 2 separate events.
Look, I mean, to be clear, again, and that's what we talked about the caps at the beginning. For any of the ones that are over the cap, and we'd like them, council to consider it. When we approve next week, we're gonna have to say that. Of course, this is beyond and this is for event funding only. We'd like to recommend to council to go above a set event. What we were doing with some of them that had a lot of events, it initially started with like Fridays al Fresco, where it wasn't just one event, but then it was multiple events. But now city's taken on that music end of it, and that presentation's coming. So instead of one event, we were looking at it as multiple. So we were saying, hey, we could use the multiplier of. I think we did it for another entity, maybe it was CCHP, but it was something over a period of time where we said, okay, we're not just considering this one event, we're considering multiple, and we were applying 5,000 for each event. For Fridays al Fresco, we did 5,000 per season, and that's how we were doing it. And that's why it was my initial question on what this is. But again, when we go through it next week, we can make a recommendation that, hey, even though this is above, we'd like council to consider it for this amount. Especially since, I mean, our biggest answer this year is gonna be, we haven't been able to do things the last 3 years. So that's gonna be part of maybe a lot of our justification next week of council should consider it. We're making up for lost time.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, one other question, and I'm in the marketing world myself, so it's different than print, so. And I guess the only newspaper that I see on a weekly basis is the local paper. That's pretty much I think maybe the only paper I've seen in a number of years. I haven't seen an Albuquerque Journal or New Mexican in print in a very long time. But I'm not around those areas. I think that they may be available, or I don't know what their circulation is on the print versus digital. I do read them. But
I do read them, but it's always on digital.
I know what's going on from here, so that's where I start my morning. So I look at these numbers, and Richard, I'm just throwing out, I'm a marketing guy, I'm just throwing this information out. I would imagine, and I don't know what kind of circulation the Pasatiempo has and the other one, the Albuquerque Journal has, but I would imagine that there probably is a better rate for digital. And
They are, and both publications are,
but digital only, I should say. So that may be something that could help, extend your budget further than, because like I tell you, it's different when you hold it in your hand and you're an artist and you go through that environment and you pretty much set out what you all are expecting to do. But I'm gonna say that everybody that I know, they get all their stuff through here.
You get through the internet, and a lot of times you're getting it through aggregate pages.
Yeah.
So the way I read the news, I mean, a lot of people, they turn on the TV. The way I read the news is aggregate sites, Google News, and you have all these articles, but they're based off of what I normally read. So if I read a lot of Albuquerque Journal, if I read a lot of Santa Fe, those articles are being presented to me, and I'm clicking through. So it becomes at some point we are absorbing. If the primary way that we're advertising is through it, it goes back to the same point we had some of the initial presentation, is that the focus should be more on the digital side of it.
Well, in that case, I do.
Cost and accountability.
Because like I said, I have not seen the Venue Plus, I've never seen that one, but at Pasatiempo I have. And I've seen those mostly at, restaurants in Santa Fe or something like that. But at the end of the day, I'm wondering, what's the big cost differential between, print and, it's print and digital, or just plain digital?
well, for us, the big differential is that we can do a pretty good job on social media for free. We have our channels, we get our stuff out for free. For example, just a small example is that we put out the Las Vegas Community Calendar online. And that is subscribed on a subscription service, not pay for it, but a free subscription. And there are almost 1,300 people in Las Vegas who subscribe to that and get it only electronically.
Sure.
And that's, I think, pretty darn good. I run a shopping site on Facebook myself for local shopping, called Shopping in Las Vegas, New Mexico, or Not. I have over 1,200 local shoppers on that site. The optics lucky to reach those people. And I am reaching only dedicated shoppers, not the people that read the sports news and don't even look at the ads. So I think that, yes, the mix is needed. A lot of your electronic media is pull, because you have to go to your sites. You like your sites. You click on your app, and you're pulling that to yourself. The print media that we go to has two advantages. One, it's push. The people who are subscribing to it want to have it. They're getting pushed too, and especially in these arts and culture sections, they are really focused on arts and culture. They look at that every day. If that's the people they are that are wanting to go to galleries, if they're wanting to go to small chamber music events, even, the Santa Fe Opera, all of those things take out series of ads. Treating all their things as a season. They're always in the classical music season. Whereas the more popular music goes for arena shows and quicker bursts of advertising to take a very large show.
But and some of these, some of these may be supplemented because look, all the media companies, it's the same question, right? Everybody's moving to digital, and so they may already have the answers in place of, okay, this is the package, this is print, And then this is packaged along with the digital portion of it.
Yeah.
And you can choose, so it's just about the mix.
And that's part of where Las Vegas, I think, loses out on its arts and cultural events, is that our arts and cultural events tend not to go get on the free online calendar of the Santa Fe New Mexican, from which they draw the greatest hits to put on their out-of-town section of their print media. So we don't even break through that because we aren't seen as being an actively engaged community in the arts and culture area.
Okay. Do you think it's all advertising, or do you think it's the level of activity that we have in our area?
Well, you need a product to sell the product, right?
Yeah.
And I think we undersell our product, and Santa Fe probably vastly oversells its product.
Okay.
But there's enough money flowing in that circulation there to do that. If you look for a donor to give you $50,000 a year to push Highlands University's events in Eltveld, you might not come up with the money to do it.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Well, so with that, any other discussion?
Nope.
Oh. All right. Thank you for presenting.
Okay, thank you for inviting me.
All right. I think, Chuck, you ready?
Ready and able.
I don't think he's waited enough.
Huh? Yeah, you put yourself at the end.
I didn't.
Huh?
Did you get one?
This is a huge chunk for the end.
I made Montana mad.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's the,
All right, so I guess we're on the first part of it. Let's see, the presentation of City of Las Vegas Music in the Park series. And is that a duplicate, or I got 11 and 12 with the same amounts? Oh, spring and summer.
Yes.
And we're into spring into, let's see, we're in April 4th.
So we'll start the first Friday in May, which is the 5th, and we'll go till September 20, I believe that's 29.
Okay. Spring, summer, and fall. All right, I mean, is it similar ad buys in all those projects for spring, summer, and fall?
So we're looking at we were actually looking at TV as well, the news.
Okay.
News stations. We got Montana, and I did mainly Montana, did the research for all the ads.
Well, they're working together. How could she have gotten you mad?
I just have that effect on people. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so the way we did it is we're gonna start with music in the park. They're all gonna be the same amounts. So we talked to, on the breakdown, the ones that we did get a hold of. We got KCRT, Trinidad, KOAT, Channel 7, KNMX, the Albuquerque Journal, and KRQE 13. The breakdowns were simple, so I attached quotes on all of this. The total with all the breakdown for music in the park per season, so this is per season, will come out to $19,890.65 per season. So if you total that up, it comes out to a lot. You're looking at $20,000 per season. That's $60,000 you're looking at for the entire music in the park season. Me and Chuck were talking, and we're looking for music in the park. We were looking at, of course, KNMX, because we have radio. We were looking at radio, print, and TV.
Mainly radio, because the coverage for KNMX is all of northern New Mexico, southern Colorado, Panhandle of Texas, and Oklahoma. So it's really basically, it's a no-brainer. And then with with KMMM in Albuquerque, that covers the metro area, whereas KNMX covers pretty much the northeast quadrant, which is what we target. So it's, like I said, it's a no-brainer there. And that saves us a lot.
Yeah, and then with the Albuquerque Journal, I did talk to them. So they have this program. They did reserve us a spot for in case we got approved, because their promotion expired the 31st of March. They reserved us a spot just in case. So they're offering a 26-week program. You could either do it for 26 weeks, you could do it for 6 months, or you could do it for a year. and that is their Albuquerque Journal. You buy an ad in them. Every single week that the journal is printed, your ad is in it. It's on digital, it's in print, so you get both the digital and printing for it. Per season, because altogether it was $6,240 per season, you're looking at $2,080, which kind of was like a no-brainer to us because we're paying less. I mean, we get everywhere the Albuquerque Journal goods, their subscribers, and they hit more than just Albuquerque. I know there was the quote that was in there, that's probably the biggest packet. The ad buy that we're looking at, I think, was a 6-inch ad buy or a 3-inch ad buy.
I want to throw something in there with the doing the print and then the digital. We're covering generations because the music series it's not only geared to one generation, one demographic. With the variety of the music that we provide every Friday, we want to hit the younger listeners who are going to use digital, and a lot of the older generations still do read magazines, read print, and read the newspaper. To date, we average right around 350 people every Friday night. So we'd like to increase that. And that's why we're doing the digital and the print and radio.
Yeah, and then with KRQE 13, so that one, I mean, it is pricey.
They cover the whole state.
Yeah, their original quote for us was around 30,000. When I did talk to the lady, I explained that we did have a budget. If we would cut down the budget to 15,000, we would cut the ads in half. The pricing would go up. So I told her to give us a quote to stay around the 20,000 mark. We split that up in the 3 seasons. It's $6,696 per season, but you get the entire state of New Mexico except for Las Cruces. Las Cruces is through Texas TV, so that's the only one.
Out of El Paso.
Or yeah, El Paso. But that's the only city it does not hit with KRQE 13. And with KRQE 13, you get Fox News, which we do have a printout with it. I think originally what she gave me.
They're here in here, Montana.
Huh?
They're in here.
Yeah, so basically the way she explained it, so if we go with them, we're only paying per thousand individuals, we pay $1.67 per ad. And that's per every 1,000 household that it is in, which is a really good deal. So me and Chuck were talking, I mean, to get the entire state of New Mexico, we were looking at KRQE 13, because we go, and that can even reach to New York because they have their affiliation with Fox News. So we don't just get the state of New Mexico, we can even, we get more than the state. We get all over that Fox News gets. I know there was some other, like the on-demand streaming services. I know they have those ones too, so we could get them on that. But we get the entire state of New Mexico with KNMX, KRQE 13, and the Albuquerque Journal. We can literally hit the entire state of New Mexico for our music in the park. And those are the 3 that we were kind of, I mean, we put more quotes in there, but those are the 3 that we were really looking at for the Music in the Park series.
So between 13 and 7, you guys are selecting 13 because of the reach.
Yes, the coverage. Channel 7, they submitted their quote. They have their higher prices, but they don't get the coverage. We won't get the coverage as much as Channel 13.
And the price is more reasonable.
Yes.
Well, according to Lodgers Tax, we have to reach out of that.
Yeah, and we're going for that.
60,
We're trying to maximize to get, I mean,
It's basically more bang for our buck.
yeah, that's what we're doing.
So it looks like we're getting a lot of that, and we've got a mix. So for the digital portions of it, or for the stream, we could see how many people streamed it. For some of the ads, we could see what
we get all the ballparks.
For the TV stuff, we know the number of viewership and so on. The only thing that's really, look, the way that I'm seeing it, so these are much big numbers. So we're making big numbers. So what we are in effect choosing, and then as well as the town and the council as a whole, if they approve, is that this is a city-backed initiative. We want to promote. I'm sure you got signals from council and city that this is something we'd like to promote. So I just wanted to be clear is that you know, with the level of ad buys, this is clearly differentiating between the other things that the other events that we're doing.
We're trying to target people for lodger's tax, of course. You know, if they come in from out of town, they're gonna stay at hotels, restaurants, stores.
Right, so with that said, I mean, we're really going for it, right? But just like the other groups, we've got the right mix, we're saying this many people, but we also still have to prove, did it work, right? Did we grow that? Does that translate into the, so we still have to do some of the work here, and if you need some of the help from our hotels or whatever, but I would like to see something as far as music goes, like, hey, bring your folio, bring your hotel folio. Maybe you get something for it, or maybe there's something as part of the registration in the park, but bring something that says, where did you stay? So we still need to gather the data of like, look, we put this out. The city really went for it. This is what's happened. We have some of the numbers from the past, but let's get more of the metrics.
Yeah, well, and then we count. I mean, we literally count each person every Friday night.
Mhm.
So this year, once we do this, it'll be interesting to see if did those numbers increase or did they decrease.
Definitely, because look, so and look, we have the budget where we go for it. I just want to make sure that this is a special initiative we are taking.
Right.
Okay. But it definitely needs to see that growth. Look, for $50,000, that's $1 million, 5%. That's $1 million in revenue that in lodger's tax money of hotel stays. 5% is at $50,000. Right? There has to be $1 million in hotel stays to get $50,000 back. Are we anticipating $1 million of hotel stays for? And I'm saying I'm not, but a lot of people don't see that perspective. Right? Is what does it take to get the return on your money? For a lot of the stuff, it's not. I mean, even for Fiestas, it's tough. Yeah, but we want to make sure we're growing. If we are, and then if council is consistent on this, that's what needs to be clear, is that we're really going for the moon on this. But I want to make sure that we're able to count. You know some of the numbers from last year. This year, let's figure out how to do even a better job. If some of that in that package involves click-throughs through booking sites where they're booking it directly, then you could show everyone, look, this is directly coming in back on return on investment especially when we get into bigger and bigger numbers, right? There should be a larger pressure.
We can see the numbers from the Alfresco within 3 months when they report the lodger's tax report to finance department. We can see that spike. So I'll definitely be checking into
Well,
that.
and it definitely helps with decisions, right? If we're making this kind of outlay, maybe instead of like trying to do it per season, maybe we make the same purchases, but it's a broader campaign. Or maybe it's folded in with some of the other stuff that we're doing. But in the end, we want to make sure somehow I think we've got all the KOAT and all these guys have helped you as far as the purchase end of it.
Right.
Now we just need to figure out okay, what did this?
Well, now we need to get the numbers.
What did this result in? Yeah.
Yeah, and then, Mr. Chair, look, I see that how you sort of detailed how the $1 million converts into 50,000. But there's also gross receipts that aren't part of lodger's tax.
Absolutely.
And those ones are gonna impact shops, they're gonna impact restaurants, they're gonna impact gas stations, all of that other stuff is also part of the big formula. So at the end of the day, what we're trying, it looks like we're putting our neck out on this next venture, but I think now's the time. Why? Actually, that ad probably had to start, Las Vegas is open, first. Because, after the fires and after the flooding, because we probably still gonna have more flooding. Let people know, this is a way to get out here to take a look at our town that didn't burn, everything else around us did. And there's still events, come and check it out, spend your dollars here, stay overnight, check out our food, check out our shops, check out the area. I think this is the right thing at the right time, personally. I think for marketing, it's a perfect time.
And that's how it should be presented. That
Yeah.
we're really going for this. We want people to return. This is our message. And so I just wanted to be clear and clear to the public. Look, this is a city that we're open. This is what we're pushing. So if there's any concerns about, hey, why is this more or the other? This is a project shown, backed by the city to say we returned. We're out of the ashes of the fire. We're there. So I mean, and if that's that is, so be it, that's the messaging that should be provided, and we can certainly recommend and go forward with that.
Sounds good.
Just work with me on the thing, if you need things from the hotels. And you're right, it's also about gross receipts, money, for it, they're eating in restaurants or eating so on. If they stay, I'm hoping they do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and hit up a shop.
And maybe stay another night.
That, and stay another, so it increases, when they make that stay, we know that we're generating that much more revenue. I wish I could take the state tax out of the hotel stay as well, but we know that it's more than the thing. They're at least one meal, at least filling up at a gas station in the hope at the thing. But the overall picture of it, I'm just going with larger stack, should be of how is this continuing this loop. I think all the rest of the homework is there. We just need to finish, and that's with all of the groups. And I've heard it before. It's hard, but since this is a city-led initiative, let's also pave the way and say, hey, look, this is how we're showing our numbers. This is how we're representing, and maybe some of the other groups see as like, you know what, that was probably a good idea. We'll probably do that as well, so we can say, hey, this is how our event went. So it's gonna be the same way once this goes through. Chuck, you'll be coming back to present to us to let us know how it went.
I will.
Thank you. I don't have any questions.
I do. So you've got the three groups, right, or the three music in the park,
The 3 seasons.
right?
Yeah.
Right in the middle is
Yes.
July, is 4th of July, and then you have the bike rally. And
Bike rally is not
It's not a city event.
and as far as I know, I'm not too sure what's going on with it. We didn't get any applications for it. Or that hasn't even been in discussion
That's
for a
very
couple of
surprising,
years, so
yeah.
I'm not
They're
sure
gonna
what's
have
going
it. They're gonna have it. It's just the department of the pipe.
on.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going
But-
on with that one.
are you gonna be asking, because I see you've got the fiestas here too now. So we're gonna be doing advertisement for that 1 month. You're asking twice for the because your biggest event in that summer thing is gonna be the fiestas.
Yeah, so June, with the Albuquerque Journal, that one is a 26-week program. On that one, we could get 26 weeks, and the ad buy is 240. The ad is 240, and then if you multiply the 240 times the 26 weeks, it comes up to 6,000, whatever it was, yeah. That comes out to that one, and with that, the way we can do it too is we could kind of split. So we can get a hold of with, his name is Jeremy, and say, okay, well, this week we want this ad in, or whatever, we can get that in. But we did not, for the journal, we did not include the fiestas in that one, just because the fiestas has been established, for however long it has.
This will be 135 years.
Yes. So for the Albuquerque Journal, we just did it for the ad. That's ad buys just for music in the park. So that's going to go even through July, all through July. Saying these are the weeks that we're going to have it, and we could send him. Afterwards, we could get the schedule because there is a part in it that says what's happening. We could send him whatever band is playing, and they could put it in that section that says this is what's happening on this weekend. This is the band that's playing, and where it is.
They're running separate.
Yeah, it'll be a nice showcasing,
Yeah,
weekly
so-
showcasing of what's coming up.
For the most part, everything, the music in the park, those are completely separate from fiestas. So whatever is on the 3 music in the park, that's going to be completely separate from fiestas.
Because that, basically that month is, or that week is shut down.
Yeah, so that week is shut down, so we won't have music in the park, but they'll still be advertising for the following week because we won't have it that week. We just send them the schedule. So they won't advertise. Of course, they won't say that that's for it, but that's going to be what we're paying for the 26 weeks. For those ones, I know with the radio stations, when I spoke with Channel 13, I spoke with her. She did bring the breakdown of, so with them, we would be marketing, I believe it's April, May. I don't think June. I
No.
think June was for Channel 13. June was being specific for just fiestas. But then July and August and September would be for the music in the park. So we had the breakdown and we split it already between fiestas and music in the park.
Our fiestas are the premier fiestas of the state. We are the biggest fiesta in the state. For fiestas, music in the park, we average, like I said, 350 people currently every Friday. Fiestas, we're averaging around 15,000 at any given point in time in the park. So,
Yeah. So do you think it's the greatest representation of the town as a whole?
By far. It's the biggest fiesta in the state.
It's a family reunion too.
So if you were,
Yeah.
it's absolutely, it's a big, I wish at that time there was more room.
right, there's only
That
some,
time
I mean,
where
every
there's
year
only-
I try to do something
Yeah,
different,
that
but so much
event
room.
is I have some concerns with the biker rally going forward, but that period of time, I anticipate, I mean, just from the movies alone, I mean, that time period, somehow I wish we could get shoulders in there and somehow build up the before and after for it. But look, between again for our main initiatives that we're doing, and we've always spent about the 40,000, just to make it clear, for fiestas annually. Anyways, that was stuck as part of our budget. Or am I hearing this? Is this 40,000 in addition to the 40,000 we had already put through in the past in our budgets?
It's
No.
the same one.
It's the
Same one, right?
yeah.
So
It's
so
pretty
that's
much
already what we've
consistent
been
with what
doing.
we usually get.
Okay, and the differentiation of during that, just to speak of for during that fiesta period, is completely different ad buys for different reason, or are we promoting music as well during that period for the 40,000?
They're separate buys.
Yeah, they're separate buys. So if you look at the applications within fiestas.
Yeah.
Channel 7, that one I had to kind of split up between the music in the park and fiesta. But yes, whatever is in music in the park, those will all be together in one. Whatever quotes are in fiestas, that is specifically towards fiestas and fiestas only. So yeah, I did split them up between the different events.
Okay.
And actually, are we ready to jump into fiestas or we're still talking?
Yeah, sorry, I had rolled into it on the, since it's the same presenters, but if there's no other discussion on the
Music.
music, we can move into that. I mean, it's gonna connect the two, but we can move into July 4th. Is there any discussion on the music?
Not in music.
Okay, we're moving on to the final agenda on the fiestas.
So we stuck with the 40,000 mark, because last year you guys did approve truck 40,000 for marketing on fiestas. We did stick within the same reach. If you look at the breakdown, the numbers that I got for the total, and we're looking at KCRT Trinidad, KOA T7, KNMX, KRQE 13, and KSWV. With all the totals of the quotes we got, we're at more or less 33,295. Give or take, the reason we're leaving it at 40 is because for KOA 7, that one, because I had to kind of split it up between fiestas and music in the park. That should be the right amount, but my numbers could be slightly off. That's why we're leaving it at 40, just in case that number comes in higher than the 12,000. I don't see it being 10,000 or more than a crazy amount of what I did, because my numbers should be more or less close enough to it. But just to be on that safe side, if they do come in higher, we have at least a little bit more than 6,000 to wiggle room for those quotes.
So you're going with channel 7 for the fiestas?
Yes, so channel 7, so that would be all of the ones that are on the breakdown. Those are the quotes we got, and that's what we would go with if you guys do end up approving.
Oh.
These would be the quotes.
So the other ones are, the channel 13 will take care of the music in the parks, channel 7 will do the fiestas.
Well, so channel 13 would do both.
Oh,
Channel 13 would do music in the park and fiestas.
Okay.
So the month of June for channel 13, just for the month of June would be fiestas. On marketing, they came in, their quote was at about 4,000, a little bit less than 4,000, but that was their quote was at around 4,000. And that was for marketing the entire month of June for fiestas. And we get the same reach, the same coverage that Music in the Park will get, we'll get the same coverage.
Are they putting it on the other 5 channels they have here, digital channels?
The
Channel
Channel
7
13?
or Channel 13?
Channel 13, yes, we get all of it. That is
They
why
have-
we are
they have,
kind of
you know,
thinking
you
of
get
that.
13-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 does too.
Yes, so KRQE 13, that's the one that, I mean, that's why with Music in the Park, we are looking at that one. It is a little bit more, but because we would get all of their stations, that's why we're looking at that one, and that's why Channel 13 we're looking at. And for fiestas, because we're only doing a month with marketing, that's why they were at 4,000.
How are we, I mean, I can't give you any other metrics because we're at 100% during that time period, but there has to be other metrics that we can use that said, how did fiestas go? So if we use the gross receipts angle, I mean, we can look at gross receipts increase for that time, but are we still doing like counting people in the park or having?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a drone out, guy that flies a drone over and we can count the majority of it. And then like what Vegas has, we have right around 565 rooms. They're all booked. They're actually booked a year ahead.
They're booked. So look, the type of exposure that we're looking at. Say, I'm just going to combine. Say we're at 100,000, right? Look, 100,000. You do that. That's about at $100 a pop. That's about 20,000 hotel nights. Okay, of what we're allocating. So we're talking about more than one event, more season. Where the type of exposure that we're hoping to look for is over a long period of time that you're putting Las Vegas back on the map for some of these things.
Well, that was
So I
my
could
feeling
quite
with-
possibly.
With fiestas, with the return on investment for between lodgers tax and GRT, I mean, we can't.
Right, the GRT is where that picture comes in because we can't give you any more numbers for Fiesta. We're already booked and that's been the case for the majority of the times. I think this year is gonna be a little bit better just because of the schedule is, but, and then we should probably talk about that some more for the future. But we gotta get a metric on some of the other things, the sales tax will help, but just
Well,
to
I
say.
checked, like I said with Music in the Park. So in July, August to October, I run my report to see the spike. And we can, based on the spike in revenue and GRT, we can tell you how much.
Subtracting any movie that happens to show up and.
Yeah, and I don't have any movies in July, I have one in May.
Okay, all right.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
For both of the Music in the Park and the fiestas, I know it's a combination, commercial ads, who's producing them?
Which commercial ads?
Well, the fiestas.
Like on the TV stations?
Yeah.
They would be the ones to put
So they
together.
will
They'll do
own,
the artwork.
Yeah,
they're
they-
gonna own whatever they produce, we are not producing it. We will have no input on that?
Yeah,
we do have
do.
input
We
on
always
it.
do.
I think
We did
we
last
sent
year.
him some, I think you sent them, don't you send them pictures
I
and
sent
so
them
that they
all
can use
the,
that
a
on
lot of the
ours?
photos are ours.
Okay, so
they worked
then the
around it.
photos that they used, they're ours, they're just using them, I mean, it's, what I'm trying to say is, they're gonna produce it, you're telling me, but we're giving them the information to produce it. So we cannot use that, clips of that commercial for something else if we want down the road? Because
It
it's.
would be based around Fiesta, so I don't know what else we could use that
Well,
for.
I mean, look at our board, one of these things advertises, all events that are going on. Could we still use that same photo or that image?
Yeah, the photos are ours.
Yeah, the photos are ours.
Okay, so we keep those copyrights.
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's what I'm wanting to know. Okay.
Yeah, those are ours.
They can never get enough, actually.
Yeah.
They what?
They can never get enough. They always want more.
It's part of what was appealing when Chuck and when they first printed the first time around, and they advertise as part of that thing. It's like, look, all this for this price because they're including their services, their design services, right? They're doing the editing, they're doing all this work for you that we would otherwise, that we were just talking about earlier, would be spending monies for. So they're providing that value to us, otherwise we'd have to go in and pay for a team to go get some of this done. So they're making it easier for us to advertise with them because of the services. You know, and I see it one way too. Look, we would probably, we still own the rights for our images, but if it's like a KOAT 7 commercial, I'm pretty sure we can't start advertising in the same way.
Well,
But
I'm
then
just
again,
saying,
they deserve that.
Whatever print or image we lend them for the
Still be ours.
commercial.
Yeah.
It belongs to the city.
Yeah, because that last marketing company kept everything, and,
It's not my department. I have
you
nothing to do
know,
with that.
there was several $100,000 that the city cannot use. So this is why I keep asking, every time we do an image, it's ours.
When it comes to community development, Sharon, personally, myself,
That's just my point. That's why I keep asking that same question.
So, Mr. Chair, just to add to Georgina's comment, so it was 200,000 that we sort of blew away there, that's $4 million worth of lodgers tax.
When you start thinking of that, I'm just thinking, I was like, man, and it's hard because you're trying to say it, so you have to think big picture.
Yeah, no, and that's how I look at that.
Even as a hotel, look, these aren't the numbers that I see personally at the hotel, so I've been thinking big picture for the last, for how long I've been here.
You're dangerous, Mr. Chair.
Right. If I thought big picture business-wise for my own business, that might be very difficult. We could do it.
But you know what I mean, I'm just sort of poking fun at you
I
now.
have another question. What about the New Mexico True? Will we?
That's a different.
That's a whole different campaign, we can't use that for our stuff. Yeah, that's a whole completely separate campaign. Campaign that
It's a
we're
co-op,
using.
right? We jump in to help them. We just want more Las Vegas pictures.
Or images, something that
Oh,
tells
yeah.
who we are.
Well, that's one of the things we're working on now, because for events, I fly solo. Bersa's come on board and Sharon's come on board and Montana, so the three of them have really jumped in to help me a lot. Other than that, I'm a one-man team. So to put on the event and to actually go to the event and work the event, do the pictures and the video, there's just no way. I'm only one person.
You've got to move your office back from. You'll be more involved a little bit more. Am I wrong? I don't.
Well, so I would love to have somebody who would just simply video the event and take pictures. Because we need, like Georgina's correct, we need that.
And look, Lodgers Tax has done some things with that before, like with internships, with so on, with summer programs, with it, where we've had somebody, Lodgers Tax has contributed to it. Look, they're taking pictures of the events.
can we include that?
And
I would love that.
have it presented, and I think we use like, and it this doesn't have to be, but I think like we used like AmeriCorps before, and we provided something, and that person was a photographer, went via Highlands, took all the pictures for us, so we have a standing portfolio. Again, the contract with the photographer is we own all these images, but it's certainly that's something that Lodgers Tax could do.
6,000 gap more.
Right.
Get someone contracted to do that, because you know what, you need it, and I'm sure the 7505 wants images as well.
Right.
Right.
And it also means digitizing the images of the rights that we already own. This is my biggest fear for some of the times where some of these images within our own portfolio are disappearing. Where we
We
have
did that with the, with all the posters, the Fiesta
Yeah.
posters, now they're all digitized, so we have a complete collection.
To me, that is fair game as part of, if that's part of a presentation for our infrastructure retraining, it's gonna be somewhere, it's digitized. We've done it before, we helped the fire station for the museum there. So those are some of the projects that we could include for Lodgers Tax.
Great.
Yeah. Any other discussion on final item? It's
late.
I didn't prepare you guys ahead of time, but on these applications, this is our longest meetings of the year, period. Hopefully, the next meeting should be more, since we've discussed all these things, it should be go on quicker, but on these days, it's gonna be a long day, just to prep, as you know.
We'll send you a bill, right? We'll send them a bill.
And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second? I guess, second, anyone?
Yeah, second, Georgina.
And
Tom.
everyone agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
so that's when you guys are gonna have your approvals if you
An
show
event
up,
for the camera.
if there should
Uh-huh.
be any.
But it's not the 4th of July.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That one's a rough one too. Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, so whatever the board decided for your application, that's what you will follow.
Okay. That's what I say all the time, but.
Because I know you did submit like the sheet about your 10,000. So if you.
Yeah, my number.
It's like